At Asda, we've got prices to put a spring clean in your step. Like a 25-pack of Ariel all-in-one washing pods was £6.50, now £5.50. And a 72-pack of Lemon Finish Quantum all-in-one dishwasher tablets was £11.50, now just £10. Top cleaning brands, tidy prices. Asda, that's more like it. Selected Asda stores subject to availability.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Jaguar. Approved used Jaguar I-Pace now available with up to £3,800 deposit contribution, plus a complimentary smart home charger, 2 years approved used warranty and more, worth £1,500. The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
It finished in the sunshine at Ibrox. Rangers 3, Celtic 0. No significance in terms of the title race, but finally the Rangers fans have something to shout about in this fixture. We do have 5 Premiership games at 3 o'clock today as well, so an extremely busy afternoon in store. But let's try and, for this section of the show, we'll clearly get back to it and we'll take calls later and all the rest of it. Round off your thoughts, Hugh Keevins, for now, on a win for Michael Beale's side.
First of all, credit to Michael Beale. He was the man with the pressure on his shoulders. His team played exceptionally well. In Cantwell, he has a star. In Raskin, he has dependability. In Suter, he has someone who was a talent to begin with but is now going to show it in a Rangers jersey. And in McCrory, he has a goalkeeper worthy of the name. They did well. 3-0 did not flatter them. Could have been more. And it was noticeable that Morelos did not get off the bench. I think that signifies that one chapter has closed for people at Ibrox, including Morelos, and a new chapter is being written by others like Todd Cantwell. For Celtic, Ange Postecoglou said he wanted to have a look at one or two things. Well, he's had a look, and in his own mind he begins to form an idea about certain individuals. Kobayashi did not play well, Bernabe did not play well, but having said that, no one did, including the captain, who has been a model of dependability. So a rank bad day for Celtic, but they console themselves with the thought that they are the winners of the league and the winners of the League Cup, and barring a miracle will be the winners of the Scottish Cup and get a treble. Rangers will rue the games that have gone before against Celtic, knocked out by them in the Viaplay Cup, knocked out of the Scottish Cup by them at Hampden, and deservedly so on both occasions. So it's a day of reflection for Ange Postecoglou, and it's a day of happiness for Michael Beale on a personal level, but the Rangers fans, it's a day of what might have been for them.
Yeah, I think if you're involved with Rangers as a supporter or anybody, as a player, management, coach, you'll enjoy your day. I don't think they'll get carried away with it, and they shouldn't, but it was all about getting that victory. I thought in the play today, Rangers were excellent all over the pitch. I thought they had some real good big performers. Hugh touched on it there. Cantwell, I thought, probably best game in a Rangers jersey. Great to see Suter back. Thought he was different class. McCrory in goals, another clean sheet for him. All over the pitch, they were first to the ball. As far as Celtic goes, I think Postecoglou did go there to have a look at one or two players in the big stage. You learn a lot from that. I think he'll be disappointed with the goals they lost. They created one or two chances, but you've got to say, just taking this on today's game, the better side won.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Rangers certainly deserved the victory, so credit to them. Took the chances when they came along at good times within the game. Early on, 5 minutes, and then just 10 minutes before half time. And then when Celtic were on top in that second half period, they sprung and jumped on a Celtic mistake to put the game to bed. So look, Michael Beale, I think the most interesting thing for Michael Beale is he's got two players who are on screen at the minute, Suter and Cantwell, who were outstanding today, who are the future. But he found a system, I think, that worked against Celtic with two pressing that Celtic back four has certainly worked.
Yeah, I mean, Fraser Wishart, we'll get to your game in a second, a very big game in its own right. What level of significance should we attach to this win for Rangers today?
In the grand scheme of things this season, not much, but I think going forward quite a lot, because the players that have signed last summer and then during January, young players coming in, have had no success against Celtic at all this season. So I think they now know what it means to supporters, what it means to the club, and what it's like to beat Celtic, and the joy that will bring to the blue side of this city. So I think there's big significance in that. So you get all the guys that will be there next year, Suter, and you're looking at younger lads. Well, Cantwell's come in and been absolutely terrific, and Raskin, people like that as well. So they don't know what it's all about. Michael Beale, I think he'll look and see, yeah, I made 2 really good signings in January, and he has openly said he will play a greater role in the transfers in the summer with Ross Wilson going. So a bit of pressure on him, but he's now going to be tested in the summer to bring in players of that calibre, because that's the kind of guys that Rangers need to bring in, that kind of calibre, if they're going to challenge Celtic next season. So all in all, it often happens at the end of the season where one team that's dominant will lose the last game to the other side of the Old Firm. But for Rangers, I don't think they could have gone into the summer with another defeat against Celtic, because starting next season, the first Old Firm game, it would still be in their heads, and that slight lack of belief in the players' heads. They now know that. They now know that they can play against Celtic, and they know what it's like to win.
Roger, Hannah, similar to you, these games always mean something. You look at the passion on show and the number of eyeballs on it. What would you take away from that result?
I think most Rangers supporters will agree with what Andrew McLean said at the end of the game, Gordon, and hope that this is a sign of things to come. I think some will agree with you and wonder what might have been had Michael Beale picked these players sooner, rather than sticking with the likes of Barisic and Kent and Morelos and Ben Davis, because the guys who came in those places today, certainly Sean, there will be some Celtic fans, as Hugh indicated, who will be unhappy and will express that unhappiness in the open line later on about the display and the mistakes. But I think most Celtic supporters will acknowledge that you're never going to have the same team without Johnson or Carter Vickers or Taylor or Moy or Maeda or Kyogo in the starting lineup. What I will say, I agree with Fraser, Rangers needed this. Rangers needed this result far more than Celtic needed it. Celtic can console themselves in the knowledge that they've trophy day at Celtic Park the fortnight, the treble possibly to follow a week after. But for Rangers, they desperately needed it. There will be players coming in, but Michael Beale will have learned a lot about a lot of the fringe players today, McCrory, Matondo, and he'll have learned more about the 2 lads he signed in January, Raskin, who played well, and Cantwell, who was exceptional.
Yeah, David Friel, you spend all week talking about what it means and what can be taken away if either side win it, and Rangers win it emphatically. How do you look back on all?
Yeah, I agree with most of what's been said there, Gordon. I think Rangers did need to win it. I don't think Michael Beale, he would have been under pressure for his job, but I think it would have been a bad look if he'd lost again against Celtic, especially a Celtic team missing 5 or 6 guys, as Roger pointed out. I think for Ange Postecoglou, probably gambled slightly by going with Bernabe next to Kobayashi. I think Kobayashi's obviously very, very quick for him, very early for him. Bernabe I've never really been convinced with, Gordon. I think today struggled, and I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic maybe look to strengthen in that area. And also at centre half, I think Stephen Welsh is probably going to move on this summer. Moritz Jensen's already away, so it leaves Carter Vickers, Starfelt and Kobayashi. I think Celtic would look for another one in there, and I'm not just talking about a squad player. I would look for someone better than, certainly Starfelt and Kobayashi. So I think that's what Ange Postecoglou will take out that game. It was an experiment. He looked at guys on the big stage in a really hostile environment, and I don't think some of them stepped up to the plate.
Plenty more to come from Ibrox. Andrew McLean's away getting the thoughts of Michael Beale, Ange Postecoglou, maybe even some players as well. So it will be fascinating to hear what they made of it, what they take away from it. We do have 5 huge games in the Premiership this afternoon. It's an extremely busy afternoon, so bear with us. We're going to get team news from those games after these. And now just a quick note from our podcast sponsor Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West. We are proud to announce that Lookers is now the new name for Taggarts. Taggarts has been part of the Lookers Motor Group for nearly 20 years, and over time, being part of one of the largest multi-franchise dealer groups in the UK and Ireland, has helped Taggarts to provide a great customer experience, value and choice to their customers across Scotland, and that's something that will never change. And now they've decided though to change the name above the door to move forward as one. You'll find the same great service and friendly faces you've come to know at their Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms, working hard to give the best experience every time. You can now browse and shop online for your next car at lookers.co.uk and choose from thousands of used cars in stock with home delivery available. You can also discover the latest new car offers, book a test drive and book your next service online. Although the name has changed above the door, everything else is staying exactly the same, and you can still expect the same great service and friendly faces when you visit in store. Lookers, the new name for taggarts across Glasgow and the West.
Hello, Albert Einstein here. Today, I've popped into Dev's Cafe. He's one of many business owners who are already using a smart meter to feel more in control of their budgeting. A smart meter helps you track your energy use and costs over time, so you know how much you're spending on your energy bills. Meaning less time guessing and more time to focus on the other important...
Do you want milk with that?
...bits of your business.
Search Get a Smart Meter today. Eligibility may vary. Consumer action required.
At Asda, we've got prices to put a spring clean in your step. Like a 25 pack of Ariel all-in-one washing pods with £6.50, now £5.50. And a 72 pack of lemon finish quantum all-in-one dishwasher tablets was £11.50, now just £10. Top cleaning brands, tidy prices. Asda, that's more like it. Selected Asda stores subject to availability.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One's Super Scoreboard.
Dust settling at Ibrox, where Rangers have run out 3-0 winners against Celtic, and we're going to hear from the managers a bit later on in the show. Of course, you'll have your chance to have your say on the open line as well, but it is a massive game. There's an irony here. It's a supply and demand thing in Glasgow. We spend all week arguing how much today means when we've got 5 other games that really do mean a lot, genuinely mean a lot about the end of the season and the league placings. Let's go to Paisley. St Mirren Hearts is huge, Gabriel.
Yes, it is, Gordon. Good afternoon from sunny Paisley. It's 6th place St Mirren against 4th placed Hearts. 4 points between the sides, I should say, with just 4 games to go. And let's get straight into it. I spoke to Saints boss Stephen Robinson yesterday, and the message was simple. This is a must-win for the hosts if they want to secure European football. Yes, they have reached the top 6 for the first time in decades, but the manager and his squad want to go a step further. He says they take huge confidence from their last meeting with the Jambos, when the Saints won 2-0 in Edinburgh 6 weeks ago. Team news then, Robinson makes 2 changes to the 11 which lost 2-1 to Hibernian last weekend. Both of them come in the centre of defence. Declan Gallagher and Charles Dunn drop to the bench. Captain Joe Shaughnessy and Richard Taylor come back in. It looks like it will be a 3-5-2 formation. It's Trevor Carson in goal, a back 3 of Marcus Fraser with Joe Shaughnessy and Richard Taylor. Ryan Strain will play right wing back with Scott Tanz on the left. Alex Gogic and Mark O'Hara in midfield with Greg Kiltie just in front of them. Alex Grieve and Curtis Main lead the line. Substitutes: Aminsky, Dunn, Gallagher, Small, Flynn, Boyd Muntz, Bacchus, Offord and Jameson. And what about the visitors then? So impressive for the first half hour against Celtic 7 days ago, but ultimately losing 2-0 at Tynecastle though. They have undoubtedly improved under Stephen Naismith, and they need to win today to keep the pace up with Aberdeen in their hunt for third. They're still 5 points behind the Dons. They only make 1 change from their loss last weekend. Alex Coxon misses out, of course, after his red card. Our very own Andy Halliday comes in to replace him. It looks like it's going to be a 4-2-3-1 formation for the visitors. It's Xander Clark in goal, a back 4 of James Hill, Toby Stiggett, Kai Rolls and Andy Halliday, Peter Harron and Cammy Devlin in midfield, Oda on the right, Barry Mackay on the left, and Lawrence Shanklin just behind Josh Ginnelly. Stewart, Grant, Keogh, Atkinson, Forrest Nielsen, Tate Wilson and Kuol Garang are the substitutes. Neither team are exactly in form. Saints have lost 3 in a row, whilst Hearts have lost 8 of their last 10. Something has got to give here today at the Smythe Stadium. The referee is David Dickinson, the VAR is Alan Newlands, and kick-off is under 15 minutes away.
They're all big, well, all maybe bar one, but Dundee United, Ross County, massive at the bottom, Roger Hanna.
Yeah, it certainly is, and if you like your nostalgia, Gordon, 40 years tomorrow since Dundee United won the league championship. Jim McLean manager, Ralph Milne and Eamon Bannon scoring the goals over the road at Dens, and they've also got the 2010, some of that Scottish Cup winning side, Craig Conway and Danny Swanson among them to greet what will be a bumper crowd here at Tannadice this afternoon. But fast forward to May 2023 and it's all about preserving Premiership status for United. They start the day outside the drop zone in goal difference alone, while the visitors Ross County are foot of the Premiership table. There's only 1 point between the bottom three. Kilmarnock, of course, wedged between these sides. And United, having lost 1-0 at St Johnstone last week, well, that was a trigger for Jim Goodwin to admit this survival scrap is down to 3 teams over 4 games. A setback for United. Charlie Mulgrew absent today after his red card at Perth, and County might just fancy this. They won 2-0 against Livingston a week ago to close the gap on those teams above them, and they also defeated United 4-0 in Dingwall in February, a game I saw. It was Liam Fox's last game as United boss before Goodwin took charge. Goodwin makes 2 changes. As we say, Mulgrew suspended, Kieran Freeman drops to the bench, club captain Ryan Edwards and 17-year-old striker Rory McLeod start this afternoon. It also means a change of formation to United to a 3-5-2. Mark Birighitti in goal, a back three of Loy Kaina, Ryan Edwards and Scott McMahon. Across the middle of Mari Niskin and Ian Harks, Craig Sybil, Jamie McGrath and Aziz Begic, with 17-year-old McLeod up top alongside 35-year-old Stephen Fletcher. On the bench, Newman, Graham and Freeman, Cujo, Thompson and Middleton, O'Donnell, Doom and Fotheringham. As for Malky Mackay's County, 2 changes for them as well. Keith Watson is out completely, and former United striker Simon Murray drops to the bench, with Josh Sims and Alex Samuel, who scored in that defeat of Livy, both coming in. Also change of formation for County, 4-2-3-1. They'll go with Ross Laidlaw in goal, Conor Rando, Jack Baldwin, Ali Yakaviti and George Harman across the back, Victor Laturi and David Chanchola just in front, then Yandanda, Alex Samuel and Josh Sims behind the lone front man Jordan White. On the bench, Monroe, Purrington, Smith, Owura, Murray, Hewula, Kenna and Tillman. The ref is John Beaton, the VAR is Stephen Kirkland. And just to put everything into perspective, Gordon, Dundee United have announced the passing of 6-year-old supporter Jack Stewart. There's a statement out from the club saying they feel the devastation and sadness that is spread across the wider Dundee community. There will be a minute's applause for Jack in the 6th minute, with the young man's image displayed the digital scoreboard here inside Tannadice. The club's reached out to his own junior club, Dundee West. They've handed out tickets to allow all his young teammates to attend today, along with some of Jack's family. And Dundee United Football Club pass on their deepest sympathy to the family and friends at what they describe as a terribly difficult time.
Yeah, heartbreaking news. I saw that on social media, and hopefully some sort of fitting occasion there for Roger Hannah and everyone in attendance this afternoon. In terms of knock-on effects at the bottom, certainly big game for Kilmarnock, not so much for Livingston. Fraser Wishart.
Yeah, you're spot on, Gordon. Whatever happens at Rogers' game up in Dundee will have an impact on what goes on here, because a huge game for Kilmarnock with a very Premiership survival at stake. And as you said, maybe not quite as much for Livingston. How this game pans out might actually depend on how Livingston perform, because they've got lots of players leaving this summer. It's been an open secret. Fitzwater, Devlin, Oyonga moving on, maybe Newbley, and they've relatively little to play for. But they've had a great season. I think they'll be disappointed not to make the top 6 the last day, but their form in general since mid-February has been pretty poor, so they still have a fight on with Motherwell for 7th place, and extra money for the club, which is quite a lot of money for Livingston. And David Martindale's been open about their finances recently, but the main focus of course will be on the home side and their much talked about home record. 26 of the 31 points here at Rugby Park, and they've got 3 games out of the last 4, including this one, at home. But the results last week with their defeat at Motherwell mean they're in a 3-way battle to avoid relegation, and 1 point separating those 3 teams. Henry reliant on Dan Armstrong, who warmed up with a strapping on his right wrist, so he's fit and able to play, but 10 league goals from the wing. And in January, Denny McInnes lost Lafferty and Shaw. Young Ennis Cairn picked up an injury. He signed Kyle Vassell, who's missed a couple of games through injury, but he's back in the team, which is good news for the Kilmarnock fans. But when you look at the scoring record by the strikers, Vassell hasn't actually scored in 10 games. Doidge and Robinson, the other 2 strikers, have scored 5 all season, and that's the same as second top scorer Joe Wright, who's a centre back. So I have to think this is a must-win game for Kilmarnock. 3 of those 4 games I said remaining here, but the other 2 will be tense affairs against Dundee United and Ross County. And they have a day ahead for the Kilmarnock fans. I think we'll have half an eye on what's going on at Tannadice, and how they start the game might dictate the result of this game. 3 changes from Derek McInnes. Ash Taylor's out, we're told, although I did see him on the pitch warming up and running around. And also Robinson and Power dropped to the bench. In come Dorset, Mayo and Vassell. 4-4-2, a change of formation for Derek McInnes as well. Sam Walker in goals, Lewis Mayo, Joe Wright, Gerald Dorset and Luke Chambers at the back. Dan Armstrong, Liam Donnelly, David Watson, Rory McKenzie, the skipper, in midfield, with Kyle Vassell and Christian Doidge as the strikers. Zach Hemming, Alan Power, Blair Alston, Jordan Jones, Jack Sanders, Scott Robinson, Brad Lyons, Bobby Wales and Liam Polworth are on the bench for Livingston 2 changes. Boys and Anderson dropped to the bench. In come DeLucas and Pittman in their usual 4-2-3-1 formation. Shamal George in goals. Nicky Devlin, Jack Fitzwater, Louis DeLucas and Christian Montano at the back. 2 sitting in midfield, Jason Holt and Sean Kelly, with Andrew Shinnie, Scott Pittman, Stephen Kelly ahead of them, and the lone striker Joe Newley. Their subs: Jack Hamilton, Jamie Brandon, Morgan Boyce, Tom Parks, Stefan Omiyonga, James Penrice, Stephen Bradley, Dylan Bahambula and Bruce Anderson. And the referee today at Rugby Park is David Monroe, and in the VAR truck, he's always a centre of all attention controversy, Willie Collum.
You're not going to be able to take your eyes or ears off the relegation battle today, and I suspect for the next few weeks. But the big games right across the division. Aberdeen against Hibs is going to be watched by Dave Galloway.
Yeah, it's been a joyous and nostalgic few days for Aberdeen fans, Gordon, marking the 40th anniversary of their team's triumph over Real Madrid in the European Cup Winners' Cup final on May the 11th, 1983. Yesterday saw the Gothenburg greats reunite here to be awarded freedom of the city, with a few tears shed for the late Neil Tatty Cooper. And today's visit of Hibs is a sellout, with the Dons 5 points clear in third place, 6 ahead of Hibs with 4 matches remaining. A home win would certainly be a big step towards securing European group stage football for next season. But Hibs, well, they look like they're back on track, don't they? 3 games undefeated with 2 wins, and they'll come here with confidence. And the club, of course, made a big statement of intent this week, signing loanee Ellie Ewan on a permanent 3-year deal. To the teams then, and Aberdeen are unchanged from last weekend. It's Roos in goals, Pollock, McDonald and Scales the back 3. Midfield, Coulson, Ramadani, Duncan and Hayes, with Clarkson playing off Majowski and Duke in attack. The subs for the Dons today: Lewis, McKenzie, Morris, Barron, Markanday, Watkins, Richardson, Kennedy and Babbage. As for Hibs, well, just one change for them. Campbell, who scored a hat-trick in January's 6-0 win over the Dons at Easter Road, replaces Doyle Hayes. So it's Marshall in goals. Back 4, Egan Riley, Fish, Hanlon and Stevenson. Jago sitting in front, then Cadden, Campbell, Newell and Ewan, with Nisbet leading the line. The subs: Johnson, Miller, Cabraya, Hop, Devlin, Henderson, McCurdy, Bashiri and Del Fier. Your match referee is Nick Walsh, and on VAR it's Andrew Dallas.
Looking forward to that one. So many big games today. David, we'll try and gloss it. I don't know if it's as important as the rest. St Johnstone, Motherwell. Maybe St Johnstone could still be dragged down.
Yeah, I think they could, Gordon. I think it's certainly more important for St Johnstone than it is for Motherwell, but it's also important for Kevin Van Veen. So I think it's always a telltale sign that a striker's having a good season, Gordon, when you're having to dig out the history books, dust them off and look at goal records from decades ago. Just having a chat with some of the Motherwell staff earlier on. Kevin Van Veen is aiming to score in his 8th successive game for Motherwell today. Dixie Deans was the last player to score in 7 in 1968-69. That was the old second division. Ian St John was the last Motherwell player to do 7 in the top flight way back in 1959-60. So it's a funny old game and all that, but Kevin Van Veen has a chance to make history by making it 8 in a row today for Motherwell. He's on 25 for the season. He's up for the PFA Scotland Player of the Year award tomorrow night. Stuart Kettlewell said this week that no other Scottish team showing any interest in Van Veen could even afford them, and all eyes are on him again today. Motherwell are 8th, as you said. Nothing really riding on it for him. They're 9 points clear of the playoff spot and are safe, but I think they'll be looking to catch Livy in 7th and finish as kind of top of the bottom 6. There's one change for Motherwell. Stephen O'Donnell is in for Max Johnson, who isn't in the squad at all today. I don't know the reason for that, but I'll try and find out as soon as I can. Motherwell are going to be Liam Kelly in goals, Paul McGinn, Callum Butcher, Dan Casey at the back, Stephen O'Donnell, Callum Slattery, Sean Goss and James Furlong, with Blair Spittle in behind Mikael Mandron and Kevin Van Veen. Subs for Motherwell are Oxborough, Lamy, Mugabe, Aitchison, McKinstry, Cornelius, Blaney, Miller and Payton. As you said, St Johnstone still probably need one more win to really be clear of safety. They beat Dundee United last weekend. That eased their relegation fears. They're 9th, but they're only 6 points clear of the bottom spot and 5 clear of the playoff with 4 to go. So there is a little bit of work to do. Stephen McLean, he's obviously taken over from Callum Davis on an interim basis. He steers St Johnstone to a first home win since November last weekend. Obviously desperate for another 3 points. Jimmy Murphy is in for Melker Hallberg. He got injured in training yesterday. There's also a boost that Chris Kane is back on the St Johnstone bench after 16 months out. Really been through the mill, so it's great to see him back. St Johnstone, they've got a back four, so it's Remy Matthews in goals, James Brown, Liam Gordon, Andy Considine, Adam Montgomery. Midfield three of Dan Phillips, Callum McPherson and Graham Carey, with Gray Wright and Jamie Murphy either side of Stevie May. Subs for St Johnstone are Sinclair, Kane, Gallagher, Ballantyne, McLennan, McGowan, Mitchell, Bear and Rudden. The referee is Grant Irvin and the VAR into Dermot Park is Gavin Duncan.
All set up then for some fantastic fixtures in the Sun. Rangers have won the first game of the afternoon, beating Celtic by 3-0. You can get your reaction in on Twitter. We're going to hear from the managers, and kick-off in the 3 o'clock games is next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Big day already underway at Ibrox, where Rangers beat Celtic by 3-0. Plenty of reaction to come to that. We'll hear from Michael Beale, some interesting stuff from him. Equally interesting from Ange Postecoglou. You can tweet us all your thoughts. We've got one of these already. I've not even had the chance to get predictions from the big games, and one of these has interrupted us.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
And it's Dundee United 0, Ross County 1. Jordan White with the goal inside the first minute. A massive game at the bottom. I've never done an as things stand table in the first minute of a game before, but if you'll bear with me, it would obviously leapfrog Ross County above Dundee United this afternoon. Incredible start to this one.
Well, for Malky Mackay, it's a dream start. I did not see that coming. I know it's come ridiculously early, and Gordon Dalziel will be the first to say, if you're going to lose a goal, lose it early. But that's taking the Michael. So it's a great start for Malky Mackay. Jim Goodwin, not so good.
Yeah, I don't think Dundee United seen it coming either, Gordon. Horrendous start, big crowd there. Roger gave it such a great build up. Fantastic afternoon. Dundee United would be hoping to bounce back after a disappointing result last week in Perth. Ross County off to a perfect start, and I've got them Macca.
What you do not need, Mark Wilson, in the heat of a relegation battle is a 37-second goal for your opponent at your place with a big expectant crowd.
No, certainly not. I mean, you imagine the build-up that this week alone, the pressure that Jim is putting his players, the instructions that he's asked them to carry out, and within 37 seconds it kind of gets unwound. So not an ideal start, but
are you all taking Ross County on your ACCA?
No, I'm going to stick
Dundee United.
Right, go on then, give us the full rundown for the 3 o'clock games. None of you were right. You all predicted Celtic would beat Rangers this afternoon.
Oh, they both went for a draw, these two.
So they did.
I predicted Celtic would win. I'm taking Hearts to beat St Mirren and Paisley. Kilmarnock will beat Livingston in Ayrshire. Dundee United will come back after the loss of the early goal and beat Ross County. St Johnstone will beat Motherwell and Aberdeen will beat Hibs.
I'll go for a draw in Paisley between St Mirren and Hearts. I think Kelly will get a result against Livy. I think United, I've went for them even though they're one down at the minute. I think Motherwell, Van Veen, I'm going for Van Veen 8 in a row to beat St Johnstone, and Aberdeen beat Hibs.
I'm going Hearts at Paisley in a tight game. Kilmarnock. I'm going to go Dundee United Ross County draw. I'm going to go, sadly, against my team Motherwell, because not beating St Johnstone this season, I think it'll be difficult. St Johnstone really fighting for their life. St Johnstone win, Aberdeen win.
Wow. Here's one for you Statos out there, or maybe even anyone on our staff. David Friel gave us great info about Kevin Van Veen going for, is it 8 games in a row?
Yeah.
Scored for Motherwell, and what sort of internal record that would be. What's the Scottish Premiership record for consecutive games? Because I remember David Clarkson had a similar length run for Dundee. Remember that?
I remember.
I then remember Alfredo Morelos, I think, matched it. Certainly remember him going for it. I think he matched it, and I think it was round about the 8 game mark. So anyone who knows these things,
Henrik Larsson must have done.
the Premiership though, you know, that kind of Premiership era. Sort of but even that, you say that, it's just one of those things. You just have to go on one of those runs, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, as an example, if I'd said to you, who I don't think anyone would have jumped up and said, oh yeah, David Clarkson will have done it. So it can be that type of run. Big goal already in the playoffs. Hamilton Accies 0, Alloa 1, and it's Connor Salmon inside 5 minutes. Could the Accies be heading for the drop?
It's got to be pressure for Hamilton, obviously John Rankin, but Brian Rice, his old club, he's hoping to get one over on them. Still plenty of football to go.
Great old warhorse Connor Salmon, great goal scorer, so it could be another Connor Salmon goal before the day's out.
Just an interesting observation. There's not a great deal to play for Livy. There's a lot to play for Kilmarnock, and Nicky Devlin is not the captain of Livy today. Sean Kelly is. Is that as simple as, well, you're leaving us in the summer, so
Yeah.
no
Did
point.
I see him get linked to Aberdeen?
Aberdeen,
Is
yes.
deal
And
almost there.
Hearts.
Yeah. But he's been terrific servant. But David Martindale's quite open about these things, that they can offer a certain amount, can they go above it, and players sometimes exceed that.
Hearts have started well in Paisley, fans in loud voices there, so we'll see if we get a breakthrough, and we had one after 37 seconds for Ross County at Tannadice. Without further ado, Hugh Keevins.
The first half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Here's an interesting wee one. Since the start of the 2021-22 season, 6 players have scored in a league game against Celtic and Rangers in the same season. Who are they? Since the start of the 2021-22 season, 6 players have scored in a league game against Celtic and Rangers in the same season. Name them.
That's a great question, because you don't have to go back too far, obviously. That's a very recent time frame Hugh Keevins has given you this afternoon. So can you come up with them for us at Clyde SSB? Send a tweet, one tweet with all the correct answers on it. Do it before everyone else, and you win the first half teaser. It is that simple.
Bet my life who the first answer Wilson put down there.
Easy one.
Right away.
Oh, they're all kind of memorable because it's very recent. So we'll see. At Clyde SSB, it is a race, so get your thinking caps on. David Friel pointing out that David Clarkson did go 7 in a row for Dundee, so certainly a chance for Kevin Van Veen to top that, because his 8th was a cup game apparently, David Clarkson. So there you go.
Right, okay, yeah, quite a record. Heard Stuart Kettle midweek saying that he doesn't believe that there's any Scottish club that could afford to take Van Veen away, and we discussed it a bit. Listen, Van Veen's 31, the last year his deal. I think Motherwell have to be clever with that and seize their opportunity if it comes along, rather than perhaps losing him next year. He's been a terrific servant for Motherwell over a couple of seasons. Could do something extra special today. Just don't know the longevity of him at the club.
The quote also makes no sense at all. Celtic and Rangers buy him tomorrow.
Yeah, and I would argue Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts would all have the funds.
Keep going through them.
Dundee United.
There is a financial limit when you're 31, no matter how many goals.
Exactly, that's the point. So you get what Mark's saying, you'll have to box clever, but if a deal of only a couple of 100,000, if that's all you can get for him, then what's the point?
Exactly, yeah, that's derisory. But if Celtic or Rangers did want to take a punt on him, they could have him by 5 o'clock tonight if they wanted. Right,
so that's your first half teaser is up and running. Get your thoughts into us there. Get your answers in at Clyde SSB. Big goal for Ross County at Tannadice inside 37 seconds. Big goal for Alloa at Hamilton in the playoffs. Remember, we've got jeopardy all over the place because Falkirk and Airdrie meet again today. Can you see Falkirk coming back from 6-2 down?
Doubtful.
Okay, more importantly, can Dumbarton come back from 6-0 down?
Yeah. Does Dumbarton's been his team all season? He's got a sneaky for Dumbarton, he kept saying.
And if you're on the lookout for perhaps a change of SPFL status, Spartans play Albion Rovers in the League 2 playoff. So a name long associated with the professional game here in Scotland, and Albion Rovers, it may well be their season to drop out and be replaced by Spartans, but they're playing each other in the playoff.
Funny how our game has evolved in that regard. I mean, Kelty Hearts, Bonnyrigg Rose, they're all part of the SPFL.
Cove Rangers.
Yeah. The clubs have dropped out, so the wee Rovers, I would like to see Albion Rovers stay in the SPFL, but they need to work for it.
Yeah, and that should be the case. You know, even looking at some of the grounds that these clubs coming through the pyramid possess now, in comparison to the old traditional grounds that teams are just dilapidated and fallen away, the infrastructure behind some of these clubs deserve an equal shot of playing in the leagues. And Cove, perfect example, came up, lovely stadium, great batting, went through the leagues. Kelty Hearts sort of stand still a wee bit, but who knows who the next one might be Spartans.
St Mirren 0, Hearts 0. St Mirren coming into it more. Tell me, who is the Hearts left back with what is verging on an afro at the moment? Who is he? Who's the guy that's stood in for the suspended Alex Cochrane with a fine head of bushy hair that's blocking out the Paisley sunshine?
I bet he wish he didn't go to Turkey because the sweat will be running right down his brow.
Tell you what, money well spent.
Fair bit of growth in that.
It is, isn't it? He loves the sunshine. Wee bit of rain at night. Oof, he'll be growing.
What an improvement.
I know, but you'd be scared to go for a haircut, wouldn't you?
Really? Off, was it?
Can you, in case it doesn't grow back? He didn't read the instructions right.
How did he go over from Ibrox so quickly?
Exactly. It's not far though.
Well, it's all the way over the motorway.
It's not far at all. He's lucky to escape a booking. Actually, he's just landed one on Greg Kiltie. And he gets a reprieve from the referee. So we've still got that one goal at the moment. It is Jordan White for Ross County. We're keeping an eye on the playoffs as well, because they are, I was going to say guaranteed drama. It does feel that way. And of course Hugh Keevins, Partick Thistle last night.
Well, again, and incidentally, it was lovely to see Chris Doolan there in his managerial role. But again, Queen's Park, I mean, Thistle deserved it and were terrific, but 13 goals in their last 3 games Queen's Park have lost. I mean, more than 4 a game. That's catastrophic defending.
I've always thought the truest of all the footballing cliches is that the league table doesn't lie. So it's unfair. I see a lot of, how did Queen's Park nearly win that league? Fine, I get it, but they got there because they deserved it, but nowhere near it in terms of getting past Partick Thistle in the playoffs. Well,
Hugh just nailed it there. If you get into your last 3 games and lose 13 goals, you ain't got to get much change out of that. Defensively, I think Oni will have looked at it. Look, they've had a terrific season up until last week, and then it just fell apart. The wheels come off. But Oni will certainly be looking to next season to say, do you know what, maybe need to get a few defenders here that can defend.
It's a club going in the right direction. I was there midweek having a wee behind the scenes look at Lesser Hampden.
Alright, okay. VIP.
VIP, yeah. I mean,
rumours going about.
Some of the dressing rooms alone, I know the Scotland national women and men's team use that, but modelled on the Tottenham dressing rooms, that kind of semicircle, every seat leather, big TVs, magnificent setup, but just too quick this year for them. But I think they'll be in the mix next year to come up.
As Gordon said, they'll really need to revamp, rebuild, whichever Michael Beale word you have in mind, the defence, because you can't be losing on average 4 goals a game.
Over the piece though, it was nearly enough this season though.
And also if you look at the other end, I think the lad Murray going up to Ross County, wasn't it? Obviously that's a big loss. He was a goal scorer in that league, and obviously he was a big important player, but he went to the Premier League with Ross County.
Lawrence Shankland arguing with the ref in Paisley as we search for our first goal there. Dundee United looking for a way back in it. Aina, you've seen this before, centre back, swashbuckling run, beats everyone, he's through, and then just blasts it over the top. Just
Rose-Ed.
Nosebleed territory, I think.
You wonder what they think when they get to that stage. How many times have you seen that? The old centre half.
Oh, the centre half,
and
yeah,
you think,
just
brilliant,
panic.
just pass it nice and easy. They must have in their mind, I'm going to put this right in the top corner.
Hibs the better team at Pittodrie, which may interest you.
Aberdeen must be having an off day then.
You're not a Hibs fan, Hugh, are you? You criticise them quite often on this.
The 17 happiest years of my life were spent working for an Edinburgh based newspaper. I loved going about Tynecastle and Easterwood, loved the place, but they flatter to deceive.
You look at the attacking threat though. You're looking at Ewan signed a permanent deal. He's involved. Kevin Nisbet as well. It's a Hibs team again. If we're talking about not lying, 6 points behind Aberdeen. So it's all right saying they're hopeless and Aberdeen are brilliant, but there's not much between them on paper. This would end the argument. This would separate them today if Aberdeen could win it, of course.
Yeah, Hibs will fancy their chances, but it's been a big week for Aberdeen obviously celebrating the 40 years of beating Real Madrid. So there'll be a good crowd in Pittodrie looking for the modern team with Duke and obviously Majowski up top to score a few goals. So good game up there.
Quite feisty in Paisley, you have to say, early on. Still goalless, St Mirren and Hearts.
Shaughnessy taking the armband back off Hara. I know he's club captain, but was it Hara not?
Yeah,
the captain.
He's obviously
because
fed
it was
up
going
with
well,
coming up here and coming on shows like this and getting the praise. He's pulled rank.
Billy, he must have heard him, because he was a bit buoyant that night when he was saying, "Yeah, I'm a skipper."
I do all the negotiating, the big bonus.
He does nothing.
You see, we make them and we break them in this programme.
First run for Kevin Van Veen slips, and then he's giving it the old looking at the pitch. Kevin, come on, I love you, but the pitch is, I'm forgetting it's at McDermott Park. No, you're right. Yeah, blame the pitch. Yeah, blame it. Hopeless. I thought he had the cheek to look at the Fir Park pitch. How could I forget?
There's no club in the country that could afford them, and then he falls in his backside. That's the way life goes.
Suggestion of a handball from our pal Andy. In fact, he's got it against Greg Kilty today. He's fouled him again for the second time.
Sprinkled up Miracle Grow kind of in odd places, in uneven places.
He needs to get a felt tip pen and colour that in at the back. I've got to
say, go for another
just
one.
Match it. One and top of one.
They've missed the ball patch at the back. That's like yours. By the way,
what do you mean that's like mine?
Fairly see-through.
Double chance for Stephen Fletcher, blocked and then saved by Laidlaw. You see, this is the type of witty conversation I missed, because you were off earlier in the week, Mark Wilson.
I was in
and
London.
Then I was elsewhere, and Thursday didn't get to be reunited with the two of you. But a worrying, truly worrying story made its way to me. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. That somebody stole your bin.
Oh, incredible. It is a worrying times just now. I don't know.
You're for the listeners who think you're embellishing this, you are really taking this to heart.
Yeah,
like you're worried about it.
And why shouldn't I? I went down to empty my bin on Wednesday, and I thought I've got a room for one more bin bag. Opens my bin, totally gone. Right.
So hold on.
My neighbours are on the case and everything.
So I didn't realise this. Your bin is physically there, but someone's lifted the bin bag from out of it.
Two of them, not just one. Two.
His bin was full the day before.
Hold on,
and the
that
next day
like
it was gone.
Thing. No, is that not someone just doing you a favour, emptying your bin?
Hold on.
I don't know.
The bins get emptied. You put them out on the Wednesday, get emptied.
So what day of the week is this?
Wednesday afternoon.
So the bin man hasn't been yet.
He comes the next day, so I get down to put my bin out, and I went, "Oh, that's quite light." Opens it up, no bin. Now the thing about this story is I've got a big sign on my bin saying, "Please don't put any rubbish in my bin, use your own bin."
Why?
Because the neighbours are they're rude. They use my bin time.
Did you personally make this sign?
No, what happened? The wee woman down the stair gave me, I just sellotaped on. It was brilliant. I thank her, wee Margaret. Right, she went, "Here son, I'll keep them away." So nobody's been near my bin yet. I'll now probably need to get that sign and change it to, "Please don't take anything out my bin."
So what's your fear here, that someone has stolen your rubbish to look through it?
Oh, I don't know.
Got to be.
I don't.
Should have seen him.
Do you have anything?
He was panicking.
Do you have anything of an incriminating nature?
What would they find?
Oh,
could be anything in there. Imagine raking through his bins.
Do you know? So I was going through, because I tend to throw out clothes quite often. Different.
But that should be a recycling bin.
No, I just throw it in the bag. There you go. There's some.
Honestly, I would have loved to have seen his face when he opened it.
The thought that there is somebody out there in
sitting in the living room with my two bags,
his bin bags.
But you know the way he is. He was telling me this during the break.
So paranoid,
he was like, I don't know who could have done it. And definitely somebody stole my rubbish.
Steal somebody's rubbish.
Well,
do you know what it could be?
What?
I'm sorry to flag this up. I don't know if you live the type of life that this could be an option for you, but it could be like a private detective, private investigator.
I said that.
Do you know that? Right.
Piecing together things.
And I know that there are people out here listening, so I need to be up front. I'm starting to believe that myself. Because you know that I live a sort of
listen. No. Before you get yourself in trouble, I'll help you out, right? You're supposed to say, what would a private investigator want with me? You're not supposed to say, yeah, that could be true.
Oh no, one followed me before years ago and caught me.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What they can't say.
No. Like, you always push it too far. The mics are off. We've had our fun. I hope you get your bins returned, if that's the right.
Ridiculous.
It's not his bins anyway. It's his refuse bags that are inside the bin.
2 big bags.
Have you honestly had previous experience of a private investigator?
Yeah.
You have lived some life.
I'll just say this, right, I won't get myself into trouble. I actually met the guy and he says, by the way, it was the best week I've ever had.
Still no goals in Paisley. St Mirren 0, Hearts 0. St Johnstone have got a free kick at the angle of the box. Aberdeen haven't threatened at all yet, which would be a bit of a disappointment for Barry Robson.
I love this show. You go from bins to private detectives to no goals in Paisley.
But yeah, the no goals in Paisley was deliberate to try and
just get him away from
where we are. Right, hold on, we've got drama here at Tannadice, a VAR check for handball, and John Beaton has gone to the screen. But Roger Hanna says he's got no idea, and everyone's baffled. Such is the way.
But who stands to benefit here? Dundee United or Ross County?
And I will give you that information
when
as
you get
soon
it.
Roger's forgot that to put that in the text.
It's a penalty.
Come on, Roger.
I'm still about to tell you who to.
Dundee United.
John Beaton's gone to the screen. Certainly it would be yes, it is a penalty for Dundee United. We just about got away with that, I think. So big chance, bigger than that, to get back in level terms. You can see the goal after 37 seconds. They were actually waiting to take a corner, and VAR's spotted something, which I get the frustrations with that, Hugh, but ultimately in some ways it's specifically what it was there for. Handballs that nobody sees, or incidents that go unseen. County are raging, but
we always believe that when the referee goes to the monitor, that's it, you've had it. So the penalty will be given,
and McGrath will score it. He always does.
You would have thought so.
He always does.
And it's the one thing that's never changed. You said County's raging. County would be raging if VAR wasn't involved and there was a handball in the box. It's just hardwired into players.
Yeah, Jamie McGrath is going to take it. He's got a very good record carried over from his St Mirren days. Tends to just wait for the goalkeeper, doesn't he, and roll it so casually. It strikes you as that if he eventually gets one wrong, but he doesn't on this occasion.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Sends the keeper the wrong way, and we are level then. A dreadful start for Dundee United, but they're level. Dundee United 1, Ross County 1.
Well, when you spoke about Ross County scoring after 35 seconds, my mind went back to the mighty Brighton losing after 35 seconds to Everton, and I thought, they'll come back, and it finished up 5-1 for Everton. So Dundee United have gone early, get their equaliser, and the good ship Goodwin is back on an even keel.
The playoff game maybe just swinging a bit. Alloa down to 10 men against Hamilton Accies, so we'll keep an eye on that one. They are a goal up though.
2-0 in aggregate, right enough. A lot of work for John Rankin's team to do, but it certainly helps some. They'll need something before half time to get them back up and running.
David Friel says the game at McDermott Park between St Johnstone and Motherwell is dreadful.
Yeah, there you go.
He genuinely thinks the weather's affecting the tempo. A big end of season feeling to it. I'll tell you, if there is one member of the Clyde One Super Scoreboard team that I hope has packed adequate levels of sun protection, is David Friel. I'm worried for him up there in the Perth sunshine.
Yeah, well, he done the West Island way, didn't he? He must have been.
But it was raining then.
So we factor 50 on.
Yeah, I'm worried about him, I must admit. I am. He's up the back of the stand in the shade, he says. Fraser Wishart quite rightly pointing out, I think the Monday night game in England, we're going to be able to hear the referee. Now the one thing I need to double check, I think it's going to be, is it going to be live, or is it going to be heard afterwards? I thought it was going to be heard afterwards, but still, it's even if it's not, and don't quote me on that, it's very interesting. I think lots of different football associations will watch that with interest to see.
I said this, was it 3 weeks ago? I said something similar that would help the players understand, and I get that people will then point to the referees every bit of communication and try and pick differences in it. But the good thing is about it, we actually hear what they say. I think it's worse none on why they've came to these decisions, who they've been chatting to, what the conversation goes like. I think it's the way forward.
Yeah, and I think Howard Webb's going to be in the studio with Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, sort of explaining some of it. And we always have this debate, don't we? Full-time refs, part-time refs. And I've never honestly believed, I've never switched on Match of the Day and thought those refs are much better than ours. I just don't. But with things like this, the level of communication seems to be better, the level of accountability seems to be better. So that strikes you something you can improve, whether you're part-time, full-time, voluntary, or whatever.
Their league is billions of pounds. They should be showing us the way. We will always be behind it, but it shows that we've got a path into understanding the system much better.
Anyway, that's one we can watch with interest next week. Kevin Van Veen, powerful shot over the bar, but not too far away. We're going to hear from the managers from Ibrox very soon, so why don't we quickly do some wrong answers on the teaser first, Hugh?
Okay. The teaser question: first half, since the start of the 2021-22 season, 6 players have scored in a league game against Celtic and Rangers in the same season. Who are they? Start of 2021-22 season, 6 players have scored in a league game against Celtic and Rangers in the same season. Name them.
Yeah, you need to be pretty good with your recent knowledge to get these right. Let's do some wrong answers. Shirley Rogers has gone for one who's on the score sheet today in Jordan White.
No.
He certainly has scored against both, but not in the same season. Went through a run of
big goals against Celtic. Jordan White got Neil Lennon in the sack.
More against Rangers though, remember, because he's a big Rangers fan, I think, and he scored loads against Rangers.
But he scored the goal that was the final straw for the Celtic board with Neil Lennon.
Martin Riley wants to throw in Duke.
No,
don't think he's done it. He also wants to throw in and English tutor and various others. Michael Donati. Probably the most common wrong answer is Lawrence Shankland.
No,
actually hasn't scored against Rangers for quite some time, so keep those guesses coming in at Clyde SSB.
Hat-trick against Celtic this season and still finished on the losing side.
Incredible, absolutely. Will he score this afternoon in Paisley though? We will find out. It's still goalless there. It's goalless everywhere actually, apart from Dundee United, Ross County, where it is 1-1. So goalless St Johnstone, Motherwell, Aberdeen, Hibs, Killie Livy, and that St Mirren Hearts game as well. So going to hear from Michael Beale and Ange Postecoglou very soon. Very, very soon. I know I keep promising it, but we'll do it. What else have we got here coming in? Anything else you need to know about? No, that Alloa red card was the last piece of action really from the playoff games. How do you genuinely, what is your mindset if you're a Dumbarton or a Falkirk player today? You're 6-2 down if you're Falkirk, you're 6-0 down if you're Dumbarton in a playoff with the best will in the world. Do you actually believe that you can turn it round?
Honestly, no. Obviously worse for Dumbarton being 6-0 down. At least if you're Falkirk, you've got a couple of goals. You maybe go into the game thinking, look, if we get an early goal, then we're right in with a chance of calling some to batter, making interest. However, it's 25 minutes in. I take it it's still goalless in that one. But Dumbarton, you've basically done your season in with one poor performance. Well, a couple of poor performances. We were chatting the other day. Dumbarton took 5 at home against Albion Rovers probably about 5 weeks ago.
Bottom of the league.
Bottom of the league. That tells you everything about their season, how it's the rails, or they've come off the rails.
Kilmarnock are starting to take hold of the game. They're little from Livy, who might be in holiday mode. St Mirren now on top really in Paisley, and in fact they have the ball in the net but no goal, and that decision was upheld. It was an in-swinging free kick. I think Gogic knocks it in the end, but something was spotted, and it's been backed up by those who've seen it again. Dan Casey's had a low shot saved for Motherwell. Wells Graham Carey has shot over for St Johnstone, and we could be doing with a goal in some of these games. I think
we could. Tension getting to players. A bit surprised that Aberdeen, with the goal scorers they possess, not a sausage there. Van Veen, nothing doing for him. Motherwell away to St Johnstone, and funnily enough, the game that should be more tense than any other is the one that has provided a goal for each side. Dundee United and Ross County.
Yeah, lots of answers coming into the teaser. Some interesting thoughts on your bin theft as well. We could put an appeal out. This is a powerful show. Is there anyone out there,
get my bags,
who knows the whereabouts of Gordon Dalziel's rubbish bags? could you please feed any information to us?
I feel that me and the bins and the dumpsters just go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, my medals are up
you
there.
Accidentally binned all your medals.
By the way, you know what?
You?
Actually, I had a fear yesterday. I'd lost some of my medals. I was going into my son's school and I was doing a talk to show them some things, bits and pieces. I couldn't find my medals up the loft, tearing through boxes. Found it in a box away at the back of a cupboard.
Good to see that you value them as much as your
I mean, they were sitting in pride of place on the mantelpiece, but they were in a box under my stairs way back in the...
Well, stick them in.
Would that have engaged you if you were a kid at school, him coming in showing off his medals to you?
Yeah, that would have impressed me.
I'll inspire tomorrow's generation.
Here he comes, just looking at him thinking, if he can make it, I can make it.
And by the way, a lot of the kids, fans of this show, I mean, the P6s and 7s, I don't think they should be listening to your nonsense on 2 nights a week.
There's that awful moment when you overhear one turn to the other and say, who is that?
And that was my boy. That was my son.
That was his own son as
well. I tell you what, Hugh, you're a favourite with the teachers though.
Oh
wow, a couple of the teachers. Yeah, my favourite's Hugh Keevins.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good taste.
Intellectuals move in intellectual circles, you see.
Are teachers intellectual? Easy for me to say. I've met a few that I don't know if I would put in that bracket, I must say, but
well.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure they are at that fine establishment. Alloa might be down to 10 men, but they're 2-0 up now against Hamilton Accies. Stefan Skugel, and you have to say it is looking ominous for Hamilton.
Where's that first leg? Is it Hamilton? Is it Alloa?
That's the second leg.
No, this is the second leg.
Alloa now 3-0 up now.
You're too busy raking through your bins.
Sorry, somebody stole all my work, all my notes. I can't believe somebody's
already had the advantage from the first leg.
Yeah, somebody's sitting there going, I've read Dad's notes, it's second leg.
Imagine going through his bins and what you would find. You shudder.
I've heard the private detective story, and trust me, it's as squalid and sordid as you think it.
No, honestly,
there is a book in there. There's definitely a book.
There isn't.
There's got to be a book about his life.
Not in 2023. There's not. Let me assure you of that. Maybe 30 years ago.
I can look back now with a smile on my face. At that time, I wasn't smiling. Let me
Kevin Van Veen scores, but it is offside. He also not only does he score a lot of goals that stand, he scores a lot of goals that get ruled out for offside. Have you noticed that?
Goal of the season, was it? Earlier on,
ruled it. Broken my heart, that one. He runs through, rounds the keeper, and in. Apparently, so
he must be desperate for that little bit of personal satisfaction. 8, the first Motherwell player ever.
Checked. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the day he arrived, he said, "Yeah, I've got Dixie Dean's and Ian St John's record in my sights."
Even to be mentioned with A2, that's some compliment. Dixie Dean's brilliant,
great character, Dixie.
I mean, it's going to be checked because you never know these ones. How many have we, since VAR came in across the world? How many do you see where an initial view you think it's off and it turns out to be on, and vice versa? So we'll keep an eye and an ear out for any update there. Certainly keeping us waiting. And we actually are waiting for goals in lots of our games, which is not ideal.
I don't think this St Mirren Hearts game's been a bad game at all. Feisty, plenty of goal-mouth action, just looking for that final bit of quality, and it's probably the same everywhere else, apart from where David Friel is. It sounds awful.
Do you know who I'm not happy with? Our old pal on a Saturday, Alex Ray. I don't know if you saw this earlier. He tweeted to say that he was listening in.
Oh, Portugal probably.
Poolside.
Is he in Portugal?
His holiday escape.
He's very nice.
And he's looks. I mean, to be fair, it's nice and sunny here today. We can't complain. Nearly 20 degrees, but
make the most of that red and pay off.
And the reason that reminded me is his old team Wolves, as they always used to call them, are losing to Man United. Anthony Martial.
His other old team threw it away last week, Millwall. After
incredible.
They were leading, they were cruising and ended up losing 4-3.
Okay, no goal for Kevin Van Veen. Here are the thoughts of Michael Beale on today's victory. A convincing one, 3-0 against Celtic at Ibrox.
Firstly, the atmosphere created by the fans in the first half, the first 15 minutes was incredible, and it gave energy to the team. We wanted the team to play with energy. We started the game really well, and we took a similar chance to the ones we've missed in other big games this year. It was a great strike from Todd. And then I thought the first 15 minutes of the game, both teams played at a frantic pace, what this fixture is known for really. It was a feisty game. I was delighted with my team. I thought their energy was really good, and today in this fixture for the first time this year in the boxes we executed. So the outcome is we won. It's nothing more than that. We know that, but it's a nice feeling now for the players and for the fans going home. We went back to the old way a little bit with the two sort of runners and pressers on the outside, and Nico as the footballer in the middle, and Todd. And I thought Nico and Todd played well. I thought Lunny and Ryan Jack, who's only trained a couple of days, were outstanding. It was a big performance for someone like Ridvan. Real big performance for John Suter scoring and getting a clean sheet. Robbie. And I thought it was a good day for Rabbi as well, because some of those guys have had tough seasons.
Well, you can't argue with any of that. It's an accurate summation of what went on, and it's all based on energy and pace and executing in the boxes and big individual performances. In other words, all of the things that Celtic didn't have. Celtic didn't execute inside the box. They were, on more than one occasion, defied by Robbie McCrory, but on others it was their fault, and they didn't have the energy that Rangers had, and they were second best. And so from a Rangers perspective, the manager has summed it up 100% correct.
It seems like an important tone to get right, Mark, as well, pointing out that it's 3 points, but it's not more than that. If Michael Beale has sat at every press conference for the last few weeks talking about how much change is required, you just can't get carried away by winning the game today, because it can't be allowed to change anything in the league table, and the trophy cabinet will tell its own story.
Yeah, he's been consistent there with what he's saying, that for the Rangers fans and players going away, it's a nice feeling, but nothing more than that. He'll know that the work, even looking at today and the result, there's plenty of work still to be done to get that Rangers team near the Celtic team and what they've achieved. But I thought that was quite interesting. Hugh mentioned that again a couple of times there. Executed in both boxes. I think he's totally bang on with that. Taking their chances when they had their chances, yes. And McCrory and goals. I thought McCrory made a couple of good saves, but his positioning was good. He was commanding. I think he showed today that he's capable of staying at the club. Now, whether that's number one, I'm not too sure, but he's definitely capable of being a number two and pushing whoever the number one is next season. He's been so far removed from first team football, other than the times when he's gone on loan. Mark, would you again settle for being the number two? That's a decision only he can make. Some players, and particularly in the goalkeeping position, some players will be happy with that.
Hold that thought. We've got one of these in Paisley.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
And St Mirren have taken the lead. St Mirren 1, Hearts 0. It has been coming. It's from a corner. It's headed back across, and there is the captain. It's Joe Shaughnessy, volleys it into the back of the net to make it St Mirren 1, Hearts 0.
Yeah, great start. And Hearts under a little bit of pressure here. You know, they were looking to get a positive result. St Mirren been really at it. As the boys said, it's been a very, very good game. And St Mirren now get the advantage 1-0, and it's the captain leading by example.
Stephen Naismith, again, one of those doing an audition for the manager's job. He really doesn't want to lose today. He doesn't want to lose at any time, but not the game before the Edinburgh Derby. So he has to be careful. Hearts will need to come back into this.
Yeah, I agree with that, with what Hugh's saying there, because Stephen Naismith got the job and he said third place isn't the be all and end all. Well, maybe not, but you could possibly finish sixth. That is the be all and end all. That won't get you the job, so needs to be careful. But once again, Stephen Robinson's side at home, hard team to play against.
St Mirren 1 up then on Hearts, about 8 minutes or so to go until the break. Gordon, before that goal, we were talking about Michael Beale there. We played his interview, reminding everyone it's no more than 3 points, but pointing out that they got it right in the both boxes, something they've done wrong. And I suppose probably summed up by that first goal. It is the type of chance Rangers have missed in these games this season.
100%. I think he spoke very well. He didn't get carried away, and rightly so. I don't think the Rangers fans are going to get carried away, but it was all about enjoying the day. It was all about that important 3 points getting into next season, because you didn't want to get into the next Old Firm game and you've lost this one against a weakened Celtic side. I thought he used the word correctly today. Energy. I thought their energy was brilliant. You know, mid-left part, Cantwell was absolutely brilliant today. An all-round performance. Got his goal. You're right about taking chances at big moments. Set play as well. Suter will be delighted with that. And then Sakala, they pressed Celtic into that mistake and punished them. So far, this today has been a real good day for Rangers.
A turnaround in Hamilton. Hamilton Accies 2, Alloa 2, Andy Winter and Dario Zanata with quick fire goals. Zanata first, then Winter. Level on the day. Accies just trailing over the piece on the aggregate scoreline. However, Alloa are down to 10 men, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the Accies have a real chance there. And maybe the Wee Rovers, Albion Rovers, are not done yet in the SPFL because they've taken the lead against Spartans. I think the only surprise is that it's not Charlie Riley, one of the PFA Scotland Young Player of the Year nominees. It's not him that's opened the scoring, it's Luke Graham on this occasion. So first blood to Albion Rovers in that playoff.
Well done them. Charlie Riley, amazing story. Apparently due to sign for Dundee. Whoever their new manager might be, as the Bonkers Championship ended in bonkers fashion with the title winning manager.
Sorry Hugh, and there we are, that will be that. Just in case you thought it wasn't already. Falkirk 0, Airdrie 1, 7-2 on aggregate. Gabriel McGill just before the break.
How's your half-time team talk now?
You just
win the second half, boys.
That's a long 45, innit? I would hate that
up
myself.
the road if you're a Falkirk fan.
If I was John McGlynn, I would just go up the road.
I got a tweet earlier from Brian, who's a Falkirk fan, saying it's the last game of the season for Falkirk today. Not sure if the manager will survive this.
You think so?
Really?
Getting to the semi-final as well, playoffs. I think, look, I like John. I think he does a good job. I think he plays attractive football. I'd be very surprised at that.
Would you?
Yeah.
Do you know the potential? That fixture had the potential to go that way, though. The way Airdrie under Rhys McCabe have been playing this season, they can score barrel load of goals against anybody. He's proved that way in this fixture.
He's a managerial talent in the making, Rhys McCabe. But
I took him to Brecon, Hugh, and he was over in Ireland playing, so I signed him for Brecon, and he played his debut. I put him on. He was a sub. I put him on. Anyway, we're drawn the game. Put him on this 3
Must have been 1 minute into the game.
Right.
1 minute by 3. I decided
there's something like 10 minutes to go. 3 midfield. The ball comes out to the right back of the opposition, and he ponders across. Anyway, guy goes down the wing, cross it in. We get beat, and it's his debut's just in the door, and I have to have a go at him, of course. And he was lively, a lively encounter. And I'm thinking, all right, I would rather that though than somebody that just sat there retiring. He'd obviously had a good career behind him, but I got the impression with the way he spoke in the dressing room, the way he kind of commanded that dressing room, that was 2-3 years ago, it was going to go into. But I didn't think it'd be that soon. He's done a terrific job.
Still playing as well.
But why John McGlynn's job might be in jeopardy. A volatile football club, Falkirk. You know, they get rid of boardroom members. Gary Holt was there, they get rid of him.
More brought him back in the first place.
Yeah, but it's a volatile football club.
I would stick with John for another season. I would. I think I would give him another opportunity.
Anyway, before we move really into half-time territory, and in fact we're about to, just final thoughts on what you heard from Michael Beale. We'll do Ange Postecoglou a bit later, and look, the open line will be here at 5. He's just so busy with these 5 games in the 3 o'clock games.
I would sum it up by saying deadly accurate and a composed summary.
I would agree with that. I think he got it spot on. I think he has to take credit for today with the way he played. I mentioned early on about the 2 centre forwards, how they press Celtic centre halves from the outside. He mentioned that also, and Cantwell in the middle. It was by design, and it's not Michael Beale's fault if Celtic didn't take their chances, but his Rangers side showed energy and took their chances.
Yeah, don't forget to give us a call on the open line and let us know your thoughts, Rangers fans. It's just 3 points, says Michael Beale. No more than that. What did you take away from today? Let's round this off, Hugh, shall we?
Yep.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Since season 2021-22, 6 players have scored in a league game against Celtic and Rangers in the same season. They are Kevin Van Veen, Mark O'Hara, Josh Campbell, Jonah Ayunga, Christian Ramirez, and now in Italy, Lewis Ferguson.
Lewis Ferguson, well done if you got them all right. That was clearly a tricky one because there weren't that many. I mean, Aaron Cox got all the right answers, but not on one tweet. And he also had but he takes third place by default. Second place, Ian Guthrie, well done Ian. And Barry RFC 1972 is the winner. Well done to you, Barry. And we'll have a Who Am I later on in the show. How did you two fare in here?
4 did we? No, 3 we got.
What's the difference between you two?
Hamilton Accies.
Yeah. Hamilton Accies are 3-2 up against Alloa. Dario Zanata were level in the tie, and Alloa are going to face second 45 minutes. And it's 4-2. They've just taken the lead. Andy Winter and Dario Zanata have done the quick fire double twice, so they've both got 2. They both did it in quick succession on 2 separate occasions, and Accies are now in the driving seat in that one. That's the playoff drama.
You say early goals, you label it unprofessional, which I disagree with. I think that there though is a sign of being unprofessional. You lose a goal, you switch off, you've not regrouped, you lose another one, then you go and do it a second time. Question marks there over the Alloa players.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Well done to the Accies so far.
But you see, if I was a teacher at your son's school, I would agree with me.
They do love you. They do love you, Hugh.
Right, we're waiting on half-time whistles. We can't be too far away. 1 minute added on at Pittodrie and McDermott, 4 at Tannadice, which has certainly been the liveliest of the games so far. No added time in Fraser Wishart's game, which might tell you its own story. We'll go there and hear from him in the not too distant future as well, so I expect him to be first. No, Dave Galloway's in first. Aberdeen Hibs, it's at half time, Dave.
Yeah, half time, Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0. Hibs made a very bright start and took a grip of play. Nisbet connected with Cadden's cross, but shot straight at Roos. Then Newell headed Campbell's cross wide. Aberdeen were posing little threat as the visitors had a go, with the hosts having to defend very well indeed. And Nisbet fed Ewan on the left hand side, and his drive from a tight angle was beaten away by Roos, and Ewan's header was deflected over after Cadden's ball in. The inrushing Nisbet couldn't get Ewan's cut back on target, and as half time beckoned, Nisbet curled one, a cheeky one, just past the far post with the outside of his foot. But the Dons, against the run of play, almost with the last kick of the half, they went so close. Coulson let fly from just inside the box, and it just and no more missed the target. At half time, Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0.
It is also half time in some of the other games already. I think Fraser Wishart's game has reached the interval. Fraser?
Yeah, thankfully reached the interval, Gordon, because to be honest with you, it's been a really poor first half, goalless, nervy, very scrappy, and neither side really looking like scoring. I'm not sure who's the more nervous, the Kelly players on the field of play or the fans in the stand, because from the start of the game the Kelly fans have been animated, getting at their players for even the most smallest of things. An example being Liam Donnelly. He had no options to pass the ball forward to, and he turned and passed it back to his goalkeeper from just inside his own half, and they jumped on his back. So certainly the Kelly fans know the importance of this game. Really nervy start by the Kelly on the park. The fans were really quiet at the start. It only came to life when Liam Donnelly passed that ball back to his goalkeeper from inside his own half. But lots of mistakes on the ball by both sides, poor passing, just long balls, and 16 minutes before either side was even near the opposition's goal. It was a great chance for Kilmarnock. It's a long ball, lovely head flick by Christian Doidge. And then Kyle Vassell was through 1-1 with the goalkeeper, but it was on his weaker right foot. He didn't really feel he was ever going to score. It didn't look as if he had that conviction. George was off his line quickly to block the shot, but Vassell really should have scored from there. Armstrong then set up Vassell this time, did really well. Good touch, turned 20 yards out, hit the ball well, but unfortunately for him it was straight at Shamal George. First effort for Livy came in 25 minutes. It was a noobly 25-yarder, a yard wide, but other than that, very little from Livingston in an attacking sense. But Kelly began to get a grip of the game. A lovely back heel flick from Vassell, floated to the back post, and young David Watson showed real bravery, threw himself at the ball through 3 or 4 defenders, got his head to it and powered the header from 8 yards, but it was a really good save by George on his line. After that flurry of chances, game drifted back to the poor level at the start. Both teams giving the ball away, taking the easy option, just hitting long balls and trying to play through the midfield. Kelly fans off their seats again and again at their own players. Even the referee got it as he walked off at half time. I'm not sure what for, because there's been nothing of any controversy for David Rowe to make any decisions again. No further chances in the game, and it might just be one of these games where one goal will win it. It's here for Kelly to take it, if they can just show a bit more composure in the final third, and perhaps just take it a bit more brave on the ball and pass it rather than going back to front at all times. Half time at Rugby Park, Kilmarnock 0, Livingston 0.
Huge game at Tannadice. It's half time there, Roger Hannah.
Yeah, and it's Dundee United 1, Ross County 1 at the break, Gordon. If this was supposed to be tense, anxious and fraught relegation zone 6-pointer, then nobody told the players, because there's been some terrific attacking football and no shortage of controversy in this opening half at Tannadice. It started with an opening goal after just 37 seconds. Ross County on the front foot from the kick-off. They won a corner on the right. Josh Sims delivered it beyond the far post. Big Jack Baldwin up, nodded it back across goal, and there was Jordan White to head home from point blank range. United responded immediately. Loic Aina, who's been absolutely terrific, stepping out from the back three and joining the attack. He had a swashbuckling run after a pass by John Hart. He got round the last defender but then lost all composure and lashed a shot over the bar. Stephen Fletcher then had a double chance in 17 minutes. His first effort blocked by Conor Randall. The second pushed out by goalkeeper Ross Laidlaw. But United stayed on the front foot as each Behige's cross in 21 minutes headed out just a yard or two out from goal by Baldwin before Fletcher could pounce. And then the controversy and the equaliser. United again in attack in 24 minutes. The ball cleared out for a corner. Referee John Beaton gave the corner, and then VAR Stephen Kirkland directed him to the pitch side screen for a penalty check. They decided it was a handball, the ball seemingly hitting Josh Sims on the arm or hand on the way out for the corner. Jamie McGrath, very few more secure from 12 yards in the Premiership, and he sent Laidlaw the wrong way for his 4th goal in 5 games and a crucial equaliser for Jim Goodwin's hosts. United then pushed to take a lead. Aina breaking clear again and teeing up 17-year-old Rory McLeod for a shot that was held by Laidlaw. Craig Sibbald next to be thwarted by county keeper Laidlaw after 38 minutes, this time from a 25-yard right foot drive. It was pushed out, but County, they're still very much in the game. Alex Samuel looking a threat up front alongside White. He was actually booked as the game went into 4 minutes of added time. He fouled United keeper Mark Berigiti. He came off worse in the challenge, had lengthy treatment, and when he eventually got up, he was booked. The referee beaten for the foul. It's been that kind of game, plenty of excitement. Dundee United 1, Ross County 1.
And during that there was another goal in Paisley. Which way did it go, Gabriel?
It went to St Mirren, Gordon, and you have to say it has been deserved. 2-0 to the hosts against Hearts at the break. Captain Joe Shaughnessy's well-taken volley giving them a deserved advantage before Ryan Strain's free kick just before the whistle there, doubling it. It was a great start to the game here. Both sides looked up for it at a packed-out sunny stadium. Feisty tackles early on, but there were few chances. Centre-halves from both teams were shown yellows within 20 minutes. There were 4 players in the book already, but then St Mirren started to turn the screw. The first decent chance fell to Alex Grieve. He thought he was in, but an excellent last-ditch block from Toby Sibic stopped the ball flying into the net. And the Saints did have the ball across the line after half an hour. It was Alex Gogic who eventually knocked it in from a wide free kick, but it was instantly flagged up for offside, and the referee held it up after consulting the video assistant referee. And it had been coming when Shaughnessy finally fired the hosts in front. It was an in-swinging left-footed Scott Tanser corner, headed back across by Gogic and hammered in by the skipper. The Saints then nearly doubled their advantage in the 43rd minute. Grieve beat the offside trap again. He slipped it through to Curtis Wayne, who hit it cross goal first time. A good save from Xander Clark to keep it out. But then it was 2 just at the death there. A bad foul from James Hill on Mark O'Hara on the left-hand side of the edge of the box. O'Hara down from it, but he got up, and Ryan Strain was standing over the ball. We've seen him do it several times this season, and it was a beautiful free kick just over the jumping defenders into the bottom corner. Nothing Xander Clark could do, and the Saints firmly in control. It's been a great watch, and St Mirren's European dream looks well and alive. Hearts have had nothing in terms of chances and have it all to do in the second half. Half time here, St Mirren 2, Hearts 0.
What about McDermott Park, David Friel?
Half time, Gordon, St Johnstone 0, Motherwell 0. We did wonder how much was at stake here, especially for Motherwell. I'll be honest, it hasn't been a classic so far. It did liven up towards the break, but does have that end of season feel to it. St Johnstone will probably believe they've edged it in possession and pressure, but hasn't been much in it at all. Neither goalkeeper has been overly busy, although Kevin Van Veen did have a goal ruled out for offside. St Johnstone started better. Graham Carey fired over the bar. Van Veen, he's such a big player for Motherwell. He was quiet for the first 25 minutes, then burst to life when he fired over the bar as well. Dan Casey's low shot was held by St Johnstone keeper Remy Matthews after that. Carey up the other end, he fired over from a decent position. There's a theme here, poor finishing. In 32 minutes, Van Veen thought he'd made it 8 goals in a row, only be halted by that offside flag. Stephen O'Donnell has played a really nice pass to put him through. He rounded Matthews, but he was offside. Carey had another shot after a well-worked corner that was saved by Liam Kelly this time but it's all been very even so far. Not enough quality in the final third, and hopefully there's better to come in the second half. Half time, St Johnstone 0, Motherwell 0.
I think we've been everywhere, have we? We're up to speed on the half-time picture. We'll give you a full roundup of the half-time scores next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Land Rover. Make a choice, not a compromise. The full Defender collection is available now at Lookers Land Rover. Each one ready for wherever you find yourself. Find the right one for you and choose from the Defender 90, 110 or 130.
When it comes to helping those that really need it, actions speak louder than words. So here's what we've been doing at British Gas. Over the past year, we've given £50 million in energy debt support, including grants to help with bills. And we're keeping homes powered with emergency energy credit. That's enough talking. Let's get on with the doing. British Gas. Eligibility criteria apply.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Jaguar. Approved used Jaguar I-Pace now available with up to £3,800 deposit contribution, plus a complimentary smart home charger, 2 years approved used warranty and more, worth £1,500. The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
A full-time score from the Scottish Premiership. It's Rangers 3, Celtic 0. At the break, Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0, Dundee United 1, Ross County 1, Kilmarnock 0, Livingston 0, St Johnstone 0, Motherwell 0, and St Mirren 2, Hearts 0. In the Championship playoffs, it's Falkirk 0, Airdrie 1, Hamilton Accies 4, Alloa 2. In the League 1 playoffs, Dumbarton 0, Annan 0. And in the League 2 playoffs, Albion Rovers lead at Spartans by a goal to 0. I'll give you the English Premier League if you follow that sort of thing. A full-time result: Leeds 2, Newcastle 2, Aston Villa 1, Spurs 0 at the break, Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1, Palace 1, Bournemouth 0, Man United 1, Wolves 0, and Southampton 0, Fulham 0. The second halves are coming up next. And now just a quick note from our podcast sponsor Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West. We are proud to announce that Lookers is now the new name for Taggarts. Taggarts has been part of the Lookers Motor Group for nearly 20 years, and over time, being part of one of the largest multi-franchise dealer groups in the UK and Ireland, has helped Taggarts to provide a great customer experience, value and choice to their customers across Scotland, and that's something that will never change. And now they've decided though to change the name above the door to move forward as one. You'll find the same great service and friendly faces you've come to know at their Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms, working hard to give the best experience every time. You can now browse and shop online for your next car at lookers.co.uk and choose from thousands of used cars in stock with home delivery available. You can also discover the latest new car offers, book a test drive and book your next service online. Although the name has changed above the door, everything else is staying exactly the same, and you can still expect the same great service and friendly faces when you visit in store. Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West.
When it comes to helping those that really need it, actions speak louder than words. So here's what we've been doing at British Gas. Over the past year, we've given £50 million in energy debt support, including grants to help with bills. And we're keeping homes powered with emergency energy credit. That's enough talking. Let's get on with the doing. British Gas. Eligibility criteria apply.
At Asda, we've got prices to put a spring clean in your step, like a 25-pack of Ariel all-in-one washing pods with £6.50, now £5.50, and a 72-pack of Lemon Finish Quantum all-in-one dishwasher tablets was £11.50, now just £10. Top cleaning brands, tidy prices. Asda, that's more like it. Selected Asda stores subject to availability.
The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half time in the 3 o'clock games, and something to enjoy for the Dundee United fans at the interval. Roger Hannah.
Yeah, it was great to see. 40 years tomorrow since Dundee United won the league title under Jim McLean, and some of the heroes: captain Paul Hegarty, goalkeeper Hamish McAlpine, striker Davy Dodds, and defenders Maurice Malpass and John Holt out to get a rousing ovation from a big crowd here at Tannadice this afternoon. Thinking back, Dave Galloway talking about the Gothenburg's great weekend up in Aberdeen. I watched the documentary through the week. Terrific nostalgia, but it takes you back to a day when they were the new firm, Aberdeen winning European trophies, and then a few days later Dundee United beating Celtic and Alec Ferguson's Dons to the league title. A terrific ovation. They're all looking very well and they're enjoying their day in the sunshine.
Let's get those second half started then.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with Clyde Build Windows and Doors. Buy now, pay nothing till 2024.
You can't beat a bit of good old-fashioned football nostalgia, Hugh Keevins, and it's been served up by the bucketful at Tannadice today.
I have to say that I feel very privileged to have been a journalist during that period when Sir Alec was at Pittodrie and Jim McLean was at Tannadice. Truly two of the greatest names in our football history. Glorious days. I remember Dundee United winning the title at Dens Park. How sweet is that for everyone concerned? And there were great characters. Paul Hegarty, I met him a few weeks ago at an Andrea Bocelli concert, would you believe?
Two cultured gentlemen, honestly.
And the late great Ralphie Milne, wonderful players, and just a wonderful time to be involved in Scottish football. I'm sorry it was all 40 years ago and life for Dundee United and Aberdeen is not so sweet at the moment, but as I say, privileged to have been there and involved in it.
Did you feel that, Mark, as a youngster coming through at the club?
Oh, we couldn't get away from it, but it was a great grounding for us, particularly when a lot of them were our coaches. Paul Hegarty, Maurice Malpass played a huge part in my career. John Holt was there as well. Paul Sturrock was the manager that signed me, so Jim McLean was the chairman at the time, so there was always that connection there. It wasn't as if they were reminding us every day, but the walls were plastered full of the pictures. The fans would always be first to tell you what the club had achieved, what they expected. But a terrific club, and good on them.
I was going to say, am I wasting my time here? Do you remember that season? I mean, you were playing.
Yeah, I don't remember that season particularly, but I remember playing against both sides and the host of players that you mentioned there, and terrific players they were, I've got to say.
How can you not remember that? I was on the telly the other night. I sent you a picture.
He's too busy raking his bin.
Yeah, the cup final one when I destroyed them down the right hand side.
Big goal list to tell you about.
Goal Flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
And the half-time team talk must have worked from Derek McInnes, because Kyle Vassell has scored back in the team, showing why Kilmarnock have missed him, and Kelly lead Livingston by a goal 2-0. As things stand, they would be the big winners down the bottom this afternoon.
Now this is what this is supposed to be about, as things stand, and 10 minutes from now, as things used to stand. So I look forward to that now. I can sense that the pace has been upped at Rugby Park, and we'll see what the response is from Tannadice.
Fancied Kelly today, actually. Livy, perhaps holiday mode, nothing to play for, and Kelly, everything to play for. So that often goes one way. They've got their noses in front.
I think it's one thing that could save Kelly this year is their home record. Their away record's terrible, we know that, but at home they seem to get the results when they need them. And this is a good game for Kelly against Livingston. Nothing really to play for, a bit of pride, but they should go and win it.
Penalty Motherwell. Is this the moment for Kevin Van Veen, or will it be a cruelly missed? We will find out. Stephen O'Donnell won it back in the team today. Kevin Van Veen, if he scores, it will be the 8th consecutive game that he's scored in. Incredible. At half-time change, the thatch has obviously got a bit hot for Andy Halliday. He's off at the break to be replaced by Nathaniel Atkinson. Charles Dunn on for Taylor for the Saints. Let's find out if Kevin Van Veen is going to dispatch that penalty. He's keeping us waiting, that's for sure. He's taken a few and scored a few this season. Will that continue? He steps up and it's saved. Kevin Van Veen going for 8 in a row. and it's been saved.
Do you know, I had a feeling, because I remember watching him taking a penalty and I thought, I don't think he's a great penalty kick to take.
No, he scored a good few this season.
Do you think he's very good at them? Like say McGrath, I think at Dundee United's excellent. He's brilliant, great technique. Look,
he's stuck a few away this season.
That's maybe a wee bit thinking about the record in his head there.
Decent save, but not really in the corner. Low to the goalie's right, and he'll need to do it the hard way.
Oh, well.
Big relief for St Johnstone.
Yep. We were all concentrating here on Van Veen, but St Johnstone.
VAR check. Was the goalie plays line? Did somebody encroach? Because remember, this is where the encroachment would get enforced. It's to be retaken. It is going to be retaken. So sometimes if maybe the player who encroached is the one that clears it, then they have to go and retake it. And
can he miss it 2 in a row?
Right,
can you?
Laces through it.
Can you miss it?
Is he going to take it again?
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
Of course he will.
He is indeed. He's going to step up. The drama either way is going to be incredible. There's nothing even riding on this for Motherwell, and I'm feeling a bit nervous. He's taking his time.
Can he miss it too?
He's assessing. He's looking to the sky for some sort of intervention. I don't know.
He'll go the same way.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I hope he puts it more in the corner this time.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
He dinks it. Kevin Van Veen dinks it. Honestly, the man has shown so much quality this season. You miss a penalty, it gets retaken, so you decide to dink it. That is a mark of the man. He's scored, he's put Motherwell 1 up, and it's an 8th consecutive goal scoring appearance in the league for Motherwell, Hugh. An unbelievable run.
To have your name as a Motherwell player mentioned in the same breath as Ian St John and Dixie Deans is a tremendous achievement. I congratulate Kevin Van Veen. He's done it in the most dramatic fashion imaginable, and the only way he can top this now is to be named Player of the Year tomorrow at Fraser Wishart's splendid do.
26 for this season. He's looking emotional, apparently, according to David Friel. Kind of getting that vibe from him in recent weeks, whether he knows that it's time up at Fir Park or not, and the fans obviously adore him. Fraser Wishart pointed out that the votes weren't that early this season. There were 33 games played when the votes went in. For Van Veen, you wonder if it would have been any different if it was a couple of weeks on where he's scored continuously. But there was enough time, I suppose, to get your body of work in.
Yeah, I mean, just to be up there with the guys that are fighting at the top of the league shows the job he's done. Motherwell didn't seem that long ago were serious relegation danger. He stepped up, 8 games in a row scoring. You mentioned it earlier. I mean, you think all the great players, all the great strikers that have been in this country and haven't managed to do that, even at Celtic and Rangers, shows the quality of the man. I think these will be his last few games at Motherwell, unfortunately for you.
Right,
nobody can afford them, Mark.
We will keep praising Kevin Van Veen if I've got anything to do with it, but Hugh, I don't think we've done this yet, have we?
No.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Information alert, a lot of it coming up. I have played alongside Callum Davidson, Marvin Bartley and Jamie McGrath. I have been managed by Roy Keane and Gordon Strachan. I have played for 7 British sides, winning league titles in Scotland and in England. I've also been capped for my national team. Who am I? Played alongside Callum Davidson, Marvin Bartley and Jamie McGrath. Managed by Roy Keane and Gordon Strachan. Played for 7 British clubs, winning league titles in Scotland and in England. Also capped for my national team. Who am I?
Wow, what a question. You can see it all written down on Twitter at Clyde SSB, and that's where you send your answers as well. So send us one tweet with the name on it, and we'll see who can not only get it correct but do it faster than everyone else. You two, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel, are quite good at this.
Yeah.
You've gone in early on Anthony Stokes, and it's incorrect.
Okay.
I can see you're thinking there though.
Yeah, trying to join the dots here. I think a lot of them are correct.
I can see you're thinking it is not.
It's a title
Anthony
in England.
Stokes.
Title in England, did you say?
Yes.
Not necessarily top flight, of course.
No.
Just a title. Okay.
Oh.
Right, let's see how you get on with that.
What a weird noise that was there you just made.
Yeah, never do that again.
My apologies.
Honestly, the conversations that this show sparks. Obviously there's been a lot of drama with your bins. We actually got a call from Hillary, who went on a big story to producer Chris about how actually her bin bags were stolen for a whole week once.
Did she get them back?
Turned out it was a neighbour complaining about the bins never being emptied, apparently. I don't know, I don't really get it.
What, so stole her?
I don't know.
So emptied her bins.
I wish I'd never brought this up. Right, I've got limited information.
That throws up more questions than answers. So
VAR check, thank goodness.
What?
Oh, by the way, Hamilton Accies 5-2. They're looking good. They're looking good now.
What a comeback that is.
An Andy Winter hat trick.
By the way, the player was sent off for Alwa. I mean, the weight of responsibility on his shoulders.
Or if it was a howling decision and he was hard done by.
Maybe. Or probably blame the other 10 players that's on the pitch. Witnessing 5 goals go by them.
Yellow card for Josh Campbell, I think, for Hibs. There was a VAR check, but no, I think nothing necessarily doing there. We're going to hear from Ange Postecoglou soon, Celtic fans, so tune in, and then of course let us know what you are thinking on the open line. 5 o'clock, 01419511025. But they're big 45 minutes, well, it's far less than that now, big 40 minutes ahead across the Premiership at the moment, Hugh.
Yeah, tremendous stuff. You know, the Hearts are just not at it. They're doing a Celtic, they're just not at it today. If Hibs could get their noses in front at Pittodrie and then the Edinburgh Derby next weekend, and it's Stephen Naismith's future that's on the line here, because it's one thing not finishing third, it's another thing altogether if you finish in 6th place. They're not likely to give you the job under those circumstances.
Remarkably, Gordon Dalziel has got the second half teaser already.
Excellent work from my Leonard colleague here.
How
to the
are you
left
so
of me.
good at them?
Well,
I'm suspicious because you're rubbish at some other elements of quizzing.
Right, I was going with.
Don't give it away.
No, I was going with Mark. Right.
I had a couple of suggestions there at the bottom, and he's latched on.
I put the jigsaw together.
Very good, very well done. Okay, let's see if you can keep up with the brain power of Gordon Dalziel at Twitter at Clyde SSB. It's not only Twitter that I'm asking for that you're involved in today, though. I've been carrying out a bit of an experiment, a democratic experiment on my Instagram.
What about?
Because you have produced like you've never produced before today. You never bring anything in for the guys.
I do.
And you've come in today with a box full of cream cakes, scones, homemade jam tarts,
Empire biscuits,
iced buns, Empire biscuits, the lot.
That's beating everybody this season, isn't it? That's it.
It is.
The cake selection of the year.
Sensational. So I put on Instagram a picture of it in a poll for people to vote in. Did Gordon Dalziel A, buy these cakes, or B, take them from a funeral that he was at yesterday?
That's ridiculous.
You will be delighted to know that with quite a few votes in already, we've got nearly 1,000 votes.
What?
96% of people know that you took them from a funeral yesterday.
Absolutely terrible. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? You go out there, you work hard,
you've never seen a guy so proud. When I walked in, he just pointed to the cakes as in, look what produced.
Can we be
I
honest?
wasn't fooled.
Yeah.
You were at a funeral yesterday.
I was at Granny Betty's. Yeah, we lost Granny Betty.
And I am sorry to hear that. I don't mean to make light of that, but you did bring those cakes from the funeral. You'd be as well just coming clean. I know it. You know it. The listeners all know it. Just admit it.
We Trish at Bellshill Golf Club. I says to her, come here, I need a word. I need a word in your ear. So do you know that right? You don't want to be the guy leaving with a box of cakes, right? Now my family's there and everything.
I don't, but you
so
have no
what
such
happened
problems.
was Tricia come over. I says, right, box all of them up. The ones that are obviously the beautiful cakes, I say stick them in the kitchen and I'll go out the kitchen door. You hand them
joking.
to me.
You sneaked out the back door of a funeral with the cakes so that you could bring them here today.
And then you wonder why this man was followed by a private eye.
I honestly don't think I know anyone like him.
No, that's embarrassing. What else was you getting away?
I done no favourite. Know how you get the soup, right? and the seat empty, and the soup was lovely, but it was only a wee half bowl. So I says to Lassie, I says, the boys away at the toilet to sit one down.
Do you know what? You would win I'm a Celebrity. You would do a
steal everyone else's food.
Yeah, you'd do a Harry Redknapp.
I'll tell you what, the boys aren't complaining when they're munching in there, because it is a fantastic
It is a great cake selection.
A good spread.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
That was only going out, and I used my initiative. I thought I'll look after the boys.
You can't be stealing for funerals.
We've been saved by one. We've been saved by one of these
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
We're actually late now because of Funeral Gate, but Ross County, more importantly, are back in front, and it's Jordan White again. Dundee United 1, Ross County 2. This could be a season defining afternoon. It is that stage of the season. It is a massive result in the making. It's a scoreline as things stand, and Ross County lead at Tannadice.
You know, I absolutely love Jim Goodwin. I love being in his company, but what a season he's having. If you put it all together, the Aberdeen business, Darvel, the 6-0 humiliation at Easter Road against Hibs, leaving by a side entrance, then getting the Dundee United job, and you know, we're 4 games, well, nearly 3 games away from the end now, and here he is at home, Ross County, who don't travel well, don't even particularly live well at home, and they're 2-1 up.
It is one of the defining images of the season, isn't it? Him sneaking out the exit with, you know, the bag over his shoulder. No, I'm talking about him at the funeral yesterday with the cakes.
The box.
I wasn't talking about Jim Goodwin.
Let's see the flares I've got you.
Captain's looking brilliant.
VAR check for Fraser Wishart. He has no idea what for, and he doesn't take these things well, does he? That's a theme of the season. Fraser Wishart
doesn't like the stoppages.
Apparently a handball by DeLucas, he says. Incidentally, those were Jordan White's first goals since February, when he scored in a 4-0 win against Dundee United.
Wow.
And that was the game that done it for Liam Fox, was it not? And Dingwall, if I'm right.
They find results at the right time, Ross County, don't they?
They do.
You know, last weekend, who was it at home they beat? Livy. Yeah.
Just a quick VAR check for a Hearts penalty, but not given, so on we go.
But they came to McDermott Park not that long ago as well, Ross County, and we didn't see that coming. They won, so they're capable of it. Not very often.
So on an as things stand basis, Dundee United are bottom of the table, which is you know, who wants that? 3 games to go. So Jim Goodwin and everyone associated with Dundee United, big last half hour.
Gordon Dalziel, would you mind putting your phone down and joining us on the show? I don't know if this is feedback from your funeral theft yesterday.
It's not. I'm
making its way.
I'm just checking about the business.
David Monroe goes to the monitor, Willie Collins in the VAR, and we know what that means. No one claimed, says Fraser Wishart, but maybe the VAR spotted something. That's what it's there for, some would say, as confusing as it may be, and a penalty has been given. So it was Doidge's shot that hit DeLucas in the arm, so a chance for Kilmarnock to double their advantage. A moment or two after, Dundee United fall behind. Might be one of those moments. Things swing at the bottom.
The sliding doors moments.
Sliding doors indeed.
You know, for Dundee United, I mean, I just can't. You know, on the day that you celebrate a league title win, albeit 40 years ago, but nevertheless, one of the iconic moments in Scottish football. Here you are, bottom of the league.
Not many standouts for Kilmarnock this season, hence why they're at the bottom. Dan Armstrong, though, takes the penalty.
Very good.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements,
and he scores. Will we look back on this 5-minute spell in a couple of weeks' time and look at it as the series of results that had a major say in the relegation picture? Because Kilmarnock have gone 2-0 up at home to Livingston, just as Dundee United went 2-1 down at home to Ross County. These are massive, massive games, and they are interesting to say the least. Hugh Keevins.
Well, for Dundee United, they're not so much interesting as terrifying. So they have to try and find a way back. St Johnstone, they're not out of this yet. Arithmetically, they have been drawn back into it.
I think St Johnstone are really in the mix if these results stand. But
it's what the bottom six or the split was designed for. You know, the top teams come up against each other, makes it exciting because they're taking points off each other, and equally for the bottom six, well, those in relegation danger will all play against each other, and goals will be vital at this stage.
We're seeing it today. You look at that game in Paisley, St Mirren in the driving seat. I mean, obviously, you know, they are 6 pointers. So you're looking at a game that Hearts, if they had won it, would have gone away from St Mirren, not to be caught.
Probably be done then.
Reeled straight back in.
Well, you've got Steve McLean, interim manager at St Johnstone, and Stephen Naismith, interim manager at Hearts. The day is not going well for either of them, and they need results if they are to be moving from interim to permanent manager. They cannot have results like today's.
Absolutely not. So that latest goal then was Dan Armstrong. Let's revisit the Who Am I, Hugh?
Yes, I have played alongside Callum Davidson, Marvin Bartley and Jamie McGrath. I've been managed by Roy Keane and Gordon Strachan. I have played for 7 British clubs, winning league titles in Scotland and in England. I've also been capped for my national team. Who am I?
Gordon Dalziel may be a funeral cake thief, but he has got that answer right. I don't know how that makes you feel. Let's do some wrong answers, Hugh, to help people along the way. Stephen Docherty, Ben, is it Crochan? Sorry if I've said that wrong. Ashton Rea, loads of people going for Aidan McGeady.
So did Mark Wilson, but it's not right.
Andy thinks it might be Craig Gordon.
No.
Another Andy thinks it's Killian Sheridan.
Well, he's been a lot of places, but it's not the answer.
So I can see the route that people are going down here. I can see the route, and you're not a million miles off. But let's see how we go. Motherwell soaking up a bit of pressure. Not much going on there. What did I say to you last week? Who's the first sub on for Motherwell every week? Harry Payton. It seems like he's on for Callum Slattery.
She not been booked today?
Probably. I'll need to check. I'm not actually sure if he has, but he generally does. Spartans have equalised. He hasn't been booked. Spartans have equalised against Albion Rovers. It's a Jamie Leslie own goal as well, so we're level there. All to play for, to see who takes the remaining spot in the SPFL next season, the top 42, if you like.
Drama there.
Very much so. Still need to do it again, don't we? That's the first leg of that one. Should we hear from Ange Postecoglou?
I think we should.
Now, we've already heard from Michael Beale. Don't forget, we'll look back on it with you on the open line. So if you're standing by, get your calls in at 5 o'clock and we'll look back on the game at Ibrox. I know it wasn't as meaningful as it could have been at other times in other seasons, but there's still a lot of talking points. Here is what Ange Postecoglou had to say.
Obviously disappointing performance, disappointing outcome. A couple of moments in the first half where we really should have scored and taken some momentum out of the game, but we never got that foothold. And then second half we never really made an impact. There's a bit of desperation about us trying to get into the game rather than just playing our football. That's the expectations of this football club. You represent it, whether you're a player or you're a manager, and you're expected to win every week. There's no mystery around that. So when you don't, then you have to accept that and try and understand it, embrace the expectations around it, and make sure it doesn't happen again. So it's not about me being critical. Like I said, it's just about making sure that the players and everyone understand that that's the expectations around this football club. It's an opportunity for guys, and it's a tough place to get an opportunity, but it's not the first time. I've certainly done that in terms of giving guys sometimes debuts in these games. They just need to understand this, what this football club's about. That's the expectations. You don't get an easy ride, you don't get a cushy sort of introduction into life as a Celtic footballer. It's demanding from the moment you put on that shirt till the moment you leave, and obviously the changes didn't help, but I just thought the general performance, level of performance wasn't there.
Once again, like Michael Beale, Ange Postecoglou called it correctly. Very interesting for me to hear how the fans take it when the line's open at 5 o'clock. He's saying, of course, they should have scored, and that's obvious. Desperation crept in, and some didn't embrace the expectations, and that's the other thing for the Celtic fans. The fans know, they'll have looked at it on television, and they will know who fell short of embracing the expectations. And there was no miscarriage of justice. Rangers were every bit worth their 3-0 win, and Celtic failed in just about every regard. I don't think the goalkeeping was top notch. 3 of the 4 regular back 4 players were out, and it showed. Kyogo did not play from the start, and it showed. And all around the park, even those who have been truly outstanding this season, Hatate and McGregor, never at the races. So if the demand was embrace the expectations, the demand was not answered.
Yeah, I think he's right. It was a good interview for him. He was very upfront and honest. He did give 1 or 2 players an opportunity today, and he says they didn't embrace it, said they get caught up a little bit. He did highlight some positives about a couple of the chances that they'd made, but he realised that, to be fair, his team were second best all over the pitch today. I thought all credit must go to Rangers and Michael Beale. Tactically, they got it spot on. But Ange Postecoglou will now concentrate next week and the remaining games, and then look forward to Hampden to see if he can go and clinch this treble everyone's talking about.
It was pretty much aimed at the players who came in, and particularly O and Kobayashi. Burnaby's been there a wee bit longer, but players he's talking about, they don't get a soft introduction. There's an expectation from when they put on the shirt to they leave the club, and I'm guessing he was disappointed with both of their contributions, and probably everybody in the sides. But they've got a long way to go. I think there's something I know. Kobayashi, okay, it's early in his career, he may get better, he needs to get stronger. But Ange Postecoglou sounded disappointed, dejected. He's under no illusions what it means to manage a club, and still, even though they won the league last week, he knows the Celtic fans expect to go to Ibrox and put on a better show than they did this afternoon. So,
as a player, how would you have taken that today, do you think?
Disappointed
today, and then
I would have been gutted.
Fine
today.
when you wake up, sort of thing.
Pretty much. Pretty much, and that's not to take anything away from the magnitude of the fixture and what it means to play against Rangers. But today I would have been gutted at how the game panned out. But tomorrow, when I woke up and I looked at the bigger picture, I would have thought, okay, let's reflect on the full season rather than just yesterday. But on the pitch, guys like Callum McGregor, guys who have been there for a long time and experienced a lot of success, that would have hurt today, especially when McGregor's had a great history of controlling this fixture. He was barely seen today, and he made a mistake for the third goal. So it will hurt today. It will sting the Celtic players today, and they've not had too much of that.
Celtic fans can tell us what they think on the open line, of course, Gordon. You just wonder, though, it's always going to be easy to say, well, that lost today because Burnaby played, and because O played. But yet we've just said that Callum McGregor didn't have a good game. Granted, then if you take away stronger parts round about him, maybe it does become more difficult. But then it all, for instance, what's to say that with Greg Taylor and Kyogo from the start, that Rangers don't still play the way they did and don't still win the game? It was just always going to be, I could have told you this would be the conversation without having seen the game. Once you see the team sheet and you see the changes, those guys will get blamed if it doesn't go right.
100%, and it'll be the usual, well, it's our reserve team and stuff like that. But I thought Rangers deserved it today.
This is huge.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Jordan White has picked a nice time to score a hat-trick, because Ross County have gone up to Tannadice and they lead 3 goals to 1. It was actually a great move. Danda to Harmon to Murray into White. United can't cope with them. It's been that case all afternoon, and it's looking grim for Dundee United on the anniversary, or on the anniversary week of a real famous time for the club. Hugh, it could well be an infamous end to the season.
It's a horrible coincidence when they're all there, all the greats, the Paul Hegartys and everyone else associated with the title winner 40 years ago. It's horrible to be Jim Goodwin and those Dundee United players of the present day. That is simply an unacceptable scoreline. It's not yet a result, but it's an unacceptable scoreline as things stand. It sends Dundee United, if it becomes a result, to the bottom of the table. Tension mounts. It doesn't get any easier from here with 3 games left to play, and to have that kind of thing happen to you at home, I find it remarkable, and I also find it in keeping with this astonishing season that Jim Goodwin has had at 2 clubs.
Hold that thought, just in case there is a VAR check for offside.
Come on, VAR.
You send delay on
I feel
him.
like
Come
what
on.
we should. I feel this has not only has it changed the football viewing experience, it's changed the football listening experience. Do we need to start editing the podcasts? Just take out these 2 minutes and just pretend that it never happened.
No, just let us be quiet for 2 minutes.
Goal stands.
Go on, Hugh.
What were you saying?
I said it's
just repeat it all.
Disastrous day and a horrible coincidence on the day that the greats celebrate Dundee United's finest hour and a half.
I think Paul Hegarty could still get a game.
Heggie, well, I'll tell you what,
probably not as good just now though.
Good player.
He and I were right at the back of that, what do you call that place, the SEC, and he get down the stairs and half the time I did.
Tell you what, he was fitter than our youth team. He took our youth team every day, took us up Camperdown Park and ran us for 40 minutes round the golf course every day. He used to run the London Marathons. He was incredibly fit. Very little ball work under Heggie.
One of the politest men I ever met in the game as well. Unlike the Dazzler, when they was.
Aye, that is 2 opposite ends of the scale. You and Paul, when they came together on the night out. No,
because
I think this has been a bit unfair.
Paul Hegarty's at Andrea Bocelli, and you, quite frankly, would not be.
No,
watching
funerals.
I'm dodging it.
Are you watching the Eurovision tonight? Is that up your street?
No, it's not for me, Gordon. I just don't see I might turn it over at the end. Just
I've
to
spent
see
6 years getting to know you guys inside out, unfortunately, right? And I would put everything I own on you hating Eurovision. And your pal to your right
loves it,
getting his face painted buffet out, pals round and sitting watching.
You should see the flags outside.
I'll be watching it.
He's got the flags around the house.
He's just so into things.
Aye. I like things like that.
When Lulu was singing "My Heart Goes Boom Bang Bang Boom Bang Bang," that was a good Eurovision song. It's all rubbish now.
Who are the favourites?
Sweden are odds on.
Good for them.
Apparently they've got
a strong act.
Yeah, with a strong performance. But I like the UK entry.
I've not heard
it.
May Muller.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think I knew that.
Song's never after radio. So we've got a good chance.
Right, I've never been more delighted to press this button.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Out of nowhere, Hearts are back in it. It's Nathaniel Atkinson's cross, Ginnelly at the far post, and it's St Mirren 2, Hearts 1. They've offered very little, next to nothing, and it's game on with nearly 20 minutes left.
Plenty of time for Hearts. What is happening at Pittodrie? How can that still be goalless? I mean, it's incredible, but Hearts are on a knife edge. And where is Lawrence Shankland? He's had a great season. They need the captain to come up with a skipper's goal.
Well, Kevin Van Veen has moved away from him in the league goal scoring charts. They were level, I think, going into today, unless Van Veen was already one ahead. Maybe he was actually. Maybe he was already one ahead. See, when you're live in the heat of battle and you look at these things and you're not quite sure if it's as things stand or if that was the case before the game, so someone can no doubt correct me, but Van Veen's got a couple more to go to try and catch Kyogo, who's out in front. Sorry, Hugh.
I just thought that after Ibrox last week, which was disappointing for Aberdeen and very close, I thought at home there'd be more than a match for Hibs, but it all sounds a bit dour.
Kelleroos has just had to put himself at full stretch to deny Eli Yuan. A low, well struck shot from the man who's signed a permanent deal at Hibs.
I blame Dave Galloway for this. Any man who has his photograph taken in the week with the European Cup
winners. He's jinxed it.
You don't blame him.
You can't blame Dave for that. That's fantastic.
He's gone too early, Dave.
Yeah, all the nostalgia this week for Aberdeen and Dundee
Great documentary
United
was on about I'd never seen some of the footage from that run, beating Bayern Munich. Just incredible scenes at Pittodrie.
You really, honest to goodness, if you'd lived through it. Sir Alex, I think, is the greatest Scottish manager of all time. Look at the body of work, and he has to be. But oh my goodness, off the park, Rammies, rows.
I didn't look a happy chap.
Bust
in
up.
some of his interviews, even when they were training and he was getting interviewed, he just looked
Is there not
angry.
is there not actually, amidst all the the great stuff in there, is there not a really disturbing scene in it where you see Gordon Dalziel in action?
By the way, so I go home, I switch it on. I could not believe when I seen this wee number 9 you were that day, were you know?
Yeah.
Run down
Lone
and cut
striker.
it back, and then he's hanging out. Who scored that day for Rangers in the cup
We
final
all
against
scoring.
Aberdeen?
I done my bit.
Anyway, he's
1-0.
celebrating
John
like he scored
McDonald,
the goal.
I think it was. I dropped the shoulder, Gordon. The minute I dropped the shoulder,
Game over, isn't it? For anyone, really.
See you later. I'll
You
catch
weren't-
you in the way.
I'll give you this. You weren't a pretty teenager. You weren't.
Do you not think so?
No, definitely
Oh,
not. No.
well,
You
I
looked
I don't
unwell.
know about that.
Is that the drop of the shoulder that you did on the way out the funeral door yesterday?
Yeah, the
At
drop of
kitchen?
the shoulder. Oh, I was
gone.
Once I
Cream
drop the
cakes
shoulder,
under the
you
arm.
don't see me again. But I played against that team a few times and they were terrific. They were terrific.
Bit of a theme developing here. VAR check, don't know what for, says Dave Galloway. Potential handball in the recent move, maybe. He's put a question mark. Hey Matt, you tell me.
You're at the game.
But it is that way,
The
isn't
clue
it?
is you're at the game.
But that's the point, isn't it? That is the and the ref's going to the screen.
Oh, dear.
Who's it for? Aberdeen?
Dave doesn't know.
So you know what that
No.
means. You know.
Sitting in the press box.
Joking aside, there'll be thousands at the game. The same. Thinking, what we witnessing here?
I think it appears to have been against Hayden Coulson. So
Okay.
penalty Hibs.
Penalty Hibs.
Oh wow,
Red Shed will not be happy.
What a day this
That
could be for Hearts.
huge. Right, a straight red card for Peter Haring as well. Just when it looked like Hearts, well, they were back in it and they were looking to kick on. Their job's been made harder. A straight red, maybe a bit harsh. Could have been a yellow, one of those where he stopped the counter and he was trying to take one for the team for a tackle on our pal Mark O'Hara. Can't be doing that, lovely boy. And he's been shown a straight red. It is a penalty to Hibs. Oh, this could be
Who
massive.
takes the pens for Hibs?
Kevin Nisbet, maybe.
Yeah, it should be centre forward. Take the responsibility.
Hayden Coulson booked, looks bemused according to Dave Galloway.
Well, if he scores and the Hibs move to 50 points, the end of the day in touching distance of Aberdeen,
Above Hearts before the derby.
Brian McDermott must be thinking, what's all the fuss about? This isn't that hard, is it? Coming to Hibs.
And Peter Haring sent off for Hearts. VAR did a quick check, but it's been upheld. Not a clear and obvious error, if an error at all. So what a few minutes this could be. Hibs going to potentially take the lead. Nisbet's going to take. Hearts, who thought they were maybe going to salvage something in Paisley, are down to 10 men. We spoke about sliding doors moments in the relegation battle. This could be one in the battle nearer the top as well. That man Kevin Nisbet will take the penalty for Hibs at Pittodrie to try and put the Easter Road side in front with not a great deal left to play, it must be said. He steps up, Kevin Nisbet, and it's saved by Kelleroos in the Aberdeen goal. We did say if there was anyone who might, I don't want to start an argument, but might be hard done by it being pipped to Team of the Year, it may be Kelleroos.
Yeah,
He's
I think he's
saved the
been
penalty.
good this season. Made some top saves, and what a time to step up. But what an opportunity that is for Hibs away. You know, trying to catch Hearts, trying to get in touch with Aberdeen. Big opportunity missed.
Huge.
Yeah, massive. I was expecting Nizzy to step up and put that in the back.
Nizzy, is it now okay?
Yeah, I know him well. He's a good goal scorer, but the goalkeepers won that battle, so well done to him. Excellent season, Chad.
Would you have hit them in the head of Joe Hart?
Well, I say excellent season. I've not really seen him live.
Great. That's good.
I'm only going with Dave Galloway's report here. Like the players vote, I'm quite happy to go with the
St
players.
Johnstone, remember, are trailing Motherwell by a goal to nil. Chris Kane has come on for Stevie May. It's his first appearance since January 2022. 16 months out injured. That is an unbelievable spell for a player, and it just, you go out of sight, Mark. I'm sure, as you know, in terms of injuries, but 16 months where fans, you're out of sight, out of mind, maybe even feel the same amongst your teammates. What a terrible time.
Long old slog for him. It's always good to see someone like that come on the pitch. Many dark days, I'm sure, in his mind, in the gym, alone. The physio becomes your best friend, the sports scientist as well. You do get detached from your teammates, so
What was the longest you were out, Martin?
I was it constantly.
Aye.
Long
16
periods.
months in one go is quite something, though, isn't it?
That is quite unusual, though, because usually there's a period you get back and maybe you get a setback and you have to drop back it. That's a long time. So well done.
Stephen Naismith has been booked. He's raging on the touchline in
Well,
Paisley.
he understands the importance of this day, and he will not know, I would imagine, that Hibs have missed a penalty. That would have made him feel better, because a combination of a Hibs win and a Hearts defeat would not have been good. But you've got the bottom 4 teams now separated by 3 points. In other words, one game could change everything. St Johnstone on 36 as things stand, Kilmarnock on 34, Ross County on 33, and bottom of the pile, Dundee United on 31.
We did say it before the game. If things stay this way, got to be acknowledging St Johnstone's existence down there again. Surely,
big time. I think they're struggling. I really do. Changed their manager, looking for that bit of bounce. Yes, they got a result last week against Dundee United, but it's like Kilmarnock. I think Kilmarnock will squeeze over the line because of their home form. I think they'll get there because of their home form. St Johnstone don't strike me as that sort of team. I don't think they've got enough goal scorers in their team to get them out.
You know, Dundee United had 3 wins on the bounce and still find themselves bottom of the table. It's just, they're having a torrid time.
Okay, let's make way for some late drama, Hugh, by rounding this off.
Okay.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Callum Davidson, Marvin Bartley and Jamie McGrath. I've been managed by Roy Keane and Gordon Strachan. I've played for 7 British clubs, winning league titles in Scotland and England. I've also been capped for my country. I am Ross Wallace.
Ross Wallace, well done. If you got that right, Gordon Dalziel did quite quickly, and so did loads of you as well. So well done to you, and thank you for taking part out there and throwing all your attempts in on the podium as follows. Sideshow Bob was third fastest, Ryan Gilroy in second place, and It's Caffers was the winner. Well done to the 3 of you. Good knowledge. What was the clue that sold it for you?
There were a few. Obviously, Roy Keane at Sunderland, Callum Davidson at Preston, Celtic, Gordon Strachan.
Brilliant.
So there was a few clues there. It's like a jigsaw. Start from the outside, work your way in. Boom.
Like the person who robbed your bins.
Job done. Job done. I'll go home tonight, my bin will be full.
I didn't see what I would do if I was your neighbour. My bin's always overflowing. If I was your neighbour,
just fill it up.
I'd fill the bin
I've
back
got
up.
the sign on it. I've got the sign on it. Margaret gave me the sign.
Do you suspect anyone at Motherwell Football Club? Have you been critical of anyone there?
No. I think what the problem was, Andrew last week read out my net worth, and I think
right. Yeah, I heard you were worth a few quid when I was off.
Yeah, got a few bucks in the bank. And I think that people are starting to look through.
Try to piece
in case you throw
together
money
the
out.
Statements.
Sometimes I rip a tenner up. So
you have had a busy week, of course, because you, alongside Hugh Keevins, witnessed, I would say, football history the other night, but certainly Clyde One Super Scoreboard history. We almost had a childbirth live on air.
Heard that.
Nathan? Is it Nathan?
Nathan was born after the call from the labour ward. Look, the more I think, we've all been there. You know, you're in the labour ward and you think, I just want to talk about whether Malik Tillman's worth 5 million or not. So I'll give the guys a call.
Give you Dazzler and Gordon a wee call.
Yeah.
Do you want on Sweetheart? Yeah, stick it to me.
Baby Ange was the suggestion, but they went for Nathan instead. So
why would they listen to this in the labour ward?
It's the perfect way to pass time. Entertaining, takes your mind off it.
She's a big fan.
We're there for you in the good times and the tough times, and the tough times that are leading to your good times.
Nice saying.
I don't want to make it sound like having a child was a bad thing.
You think about it, we've got another listener, wee Nathan now.
Going to listen,
Scoreboard. That will, you know, the night I was born, I was listening to Shuggy, Dazzler, and
imagine he was like actually born to your voice, like at that moment.
I know, how good would that be?
As you shout out a nonsense answer on Beat the Pundit, Nathan just enters the world.
Nathan, here I am. Well, it was a terrific call. It just shows you the power of this show.
You're right, we are everywhere. Bevis Mugabe, famous Argentinian, actually, according to you on Beat the Pundit.
Not played for his country lately.
One of my favourite answers of all time. He has replaced Stephen O'Donnell, and Cornelius has come on for Kevin Van Veen, lapping up the applause from the Motherwell fans, as you would expect.
Of course. I mean, what a record he has equalled. It's absolutely fantastic from the front man. But like I said, people sit up and take notice of that. And Motherwell are like every other club in our league, a trading club. Someone comes along with a decent offer, he'll be out of there, Gordon, next season.
Come on then, where are the experts that can confirm it? 8 league games in a row. Is that a record for the Premiership in Scotland? Can't be many that have done much more than that. Certainly the Premiership era. It is, David Field says. So that's the Premiership era record.
Who have they got next week? Because he doesn't look like slowing up, does he?
To know that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, it's obviously going to be, once I
One
stop
of
for time to look at
the other
up,
four
it will
teams.
be Ross County at home.
Ross County at home. There you go. There's his 9th game.
Yep, beats Alfredo Morelos and David Clarkson for the most consecutive games scored in the Scottish Premiership era.
But Ross County, a win at Motherwell could be their salvation. It could be a heck of a game.
Fir Park's going to have a big part to play because Dundee United go there on the final day as well. In between times, there's a trip
Livingston next week.
Trip to Livingston midweek for Motherwell.
Well, Livy have obviously, the tools are away, passports are looked out, taxis have been booked. They're not much of a hurdle for anyone at the moment.
Certainly doesn't look that way, although I don't think David Martindale will be too pleased at that.
Well, whether he's pleased or otherwise, that's what's happening, and he can't shake them out of it either.
Still a difficult at Livingston. I still think that's always a difficult game, especially when they're relaxed and nothing to play for.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
There's been another goal at McDermott Park. It is a Blair Spittle cross, a Mikel Mandron finish, and Motherwell have surely secured it. Motherwell 2-0 up at St Johnstone in added time.
Well, St Johnstone been dragged into this. They might just be fortunate that they've maybe done enough just to survive, but their form just now alarming, particularly at home. But Motherwell, well, strength to strength.
They've only
a great result.
Kilmarnock have got 2 points fewer than St Johnstone, so St Johnstone are in this up to their necks.
Have to be.
Yeah. So,
and as for Motherwell, look, it can have this effect that, granted that the freedom's off and so on, Mark, but it does keep pointing towards a scenario where maybe with 2 more games, if you like, Motherwell might have made that top 6. They just ran out of time.
I think they would have, the way they're playing, the way that the front man's playing. But even Blair Spittle scored last week, another assist today, Mandron back in the side. I think they would have got there, Gordon, with the form they're in.
The way
went an extra 15 weeks, to qualify
exactly,
for Europe.
But I'm just looking at St Johnstone. Their last 3 fixtures, 2 of them are on the road.
They've got a bad home record though. I don't think it makes any difference.
The difference, they go to Kilmarnock next week, who's got a good home record. I think St Johnstone are banging trouble here.
Oh yeah,
really do. And there's nothing excites me about them at all. They can't score really. They're leaking goals.
Mark, without being too unfair, being able to move your feet is quite an important part of defending. And St Johnstone did not do it on that occasion.
That was me trying to get my slippers on and
back four, not a fan of moving, are they? I mean, even Spittle's cross there, I don't know, what's that in the middle of the goal, who just get cemented to the ground. They can't move.
And an Athletic 0, Dumbarton 0, which was 6-0 on aggregate. Remember, Annan won the first leg 6-0, so they progress in the playoffs at Dumbarton's expense, if you're interested, down the road. And this does have impact for the national team. Stuart Armstrong and Shea Adams have been relegated from the English Premier League officially, beaten 2-0 at home by Fulham today. So certainly in the case of Shea Adams, you'd like to see him get a move and still operate at a top level, but we'll see. Airdrie, well done to them, 7-2 on aggregate, a 1-0 win on the day against Falkirk after a 6-2 victory in the first leg.
The St Johnstone fans don't believe there's anything left in their team. They're flooding out of the ground now.
Yeah, listen, we're talking about the importance of St Johnstone. All credit to Motherwell again. Another terrific result. Got up there. I thought that was because Motherwell haven't beat St Johnstone this season in the league, and to go up there, and it looks a comfortable 2-0.
And especially if we are discussing Livingston and floating the idea that this foot off the gas at the end of the season is some sort of inevitability. Well, Motherwell haven't done it.
100%. Motherwell look like everyone's fighting for their places.
Full time at McDermott Park. Here's David Friel.
Full time Gordon, St Johnstone 0, Motherwell 2. Kevin Van Veen makes history by scoring in his 8th successive game for Motherwell. David Clarkson, Alfredo Morelos, they shared the Scottish Premiership record with the Dutchman going into this game, but he's now out on his own by scoring 8 in a row after converting a retaken penalty. Van Veen has also beaten the Motherwell record of 7 goals held by Dixie Deans and Ian St John, 2 greats, and it all means he's now in 26 goals for the season, and Motherwell are up to 7th after another terrific performance. First half was pretty even, both sides created not too much. Graham Kelly had 3 efforts but only really tested Liam Kelly in the Motherwell goal once. Motherwell did have the ball in the net by guess who, Kevin Van Veen, but his effort was ruled out for offside. The away side came out with a lot more purpose at the start of the second half and won a penalty in 50 minutes. The 2 golden oldies tangles. Stephen O'Donnell was caught by Andrew Considine. Referee pointed to the spot, Van Veen grabbed the ball. Everybody expected him to score, but Remy Matthews saved his first effort, only for a retake to be ordered by VAR after the St Johnstone keeper was spotted coming off his line early. Van Veen again grabbed the ball, looked to the sky, and this time he produced a Panenka, dinking his shot right down the middle, cool as you like. The Dutchman nearly scored again as Motherwell tried to make it 2-0, but they were pretty content to sit in. St Johnstone threw everything at them. Chris Kane came on for his first appearance since January 2022, but Motherwell then added a second when Mikael Mandron converted Blair Spittle's cross. The players are down there taking the acclaim from the fans. Kevin Van Veen, will he win the PFA Scotland Player of the Year? We'll find out tomorrow night, but St Johnstone, they're in deep trouble. Players trudging off with their heads down, only 3 points above the playoff spot, the relegation playoff spot. Full time St Johnstone 0, Motherwell 2.
It's also finished in Kilmarnock. Here's Fraser Wishart.
It has Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 0. The fans were edgy in the first half, but around me a standing ovation by the Kilmarnock fans for their players, because a massive 3 points for their team. They did what they had to. Well deserved victory. It wasn't a classic game, but the home side with the better side throughout against a Livy team whose season end and form are in danger of falling apart. The 2 second half goals by Kyle Vassell and a Dan Armstrong penalty. Well, the difference between the teams. Very few chances in a fraught and nervy first half. 2 bits of decent play came from the home side. 16 minutes, Doidge had done a lovely head flick. Kyle Vassell was through 1-1 with the goalkeeper on his weaker right hand side. He hesitated, no real conviction. He allowed Shamal George to come quickly off his line to block. Decent save by the keeper, but Vassell should have scored. Vassell then tested George, well struck 20-yard shot, and then young David Watson threw himself at a Vassell flick, but his header was saved by Shamal George on the line. At 48 minutes, Kilmarnock deservedly took the lead, and Kyle Vassell was the man to score his first league goal for the club since he signed in January. He got in behind the Livingston defence, inside left position. He didn't hesitate. He put his laces through the ball, hit it across Shamal George, who got a touch to the ball, but the pace was too much for the keeper, and the ball ended up into the empty net. Tempo of the game really lifted. Second half much better. Livingston shown little in attack. 57 minutes for the Kilmarnock fans were quiet as Joel Newbley does what he does. He drifted past a number of defenders on the byline, and his shot was saved by Walker's legs. It hit the post. Unfortunately for Kilmarnock, rebounded back into the keeper's arms. But the second goal, and that was the game over when Kelly doubled their lead in 64 minutes. After a spell of pressure from Kilmarnock, a number of shots. No one claimed for a penalty. They're waiting for a corner to be taken, but Willie Coleman, the VAR, sent David Rowe to the monitor for handball. We know what happens then. The referee gave the penalty. Dan Armstrong, their top man, stepped up to coolly send George the wrong way. Armstrong's putting it low to the goalkeeper's right. Kelly had to defend a bit towards the end as Livy woke up. Sam Walker had to move smartly to touch a 20-yard Stephen Kelly free kick over the bar. One goal would have led to a nervy end for Kilmarnock fans, but other than that, Kilmarnock back four were very comfortable, defending well, and the game petered out easily for Kilmarnock to walk away with those 3 points. And now what they've done, Kilmarnock, is set up a huge last week of the season. 3 games in 8 days will decide their fate. 2 of them at home versus relegation rivals St Johnstone and Ross County, and sandwiched in between a visit to Tannadice. What an end to the season at the bottom of the table. Full time at Rugby Park, Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 0.
Oh, late drama in Paisley. Penalty Hearts. They are down to 10 men. They were 2-0 down. They were well out of this game, and they now have the chance to equalise from the spot in the dying seconds. Lawrence Shankland is one of the most reliable penalty takers in this division, but will he score this one? And it could be a big one as well, Mark Wilson.
Yeah, you've got to fancy him for Stephen Naismith's sides. He wouldn't have dreamed of getting something out of this game when it was 2-0. He's got the opportunity. No damage done with Aberdeen and Hibs drawn as well.
They've checked it in the penalty stands, I think it was, and he steps up.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Wow, what a turnaround in Paisley. It looks like it will be a share of the spoils. Arguably result of the day though. Tannadice, Roger Hanna.
Dundee United 1, Ross County 3. United's fans brought the Thunderers in 1983. Title-winning heroes were back and got a great ovation. Then they were struck down by White Lightning in an incredible afternoon in the drop zone, Gordon. Jordan White needed just 37 seconds to open the scoring for Ross County. It was his first goal since netting in the 4-0 rout of United in Dingwall in February. He then restored the Staggies' lead after Jamie McGrath's controversial VAR penalty equaliser, and he lifted his goal tally for the season into double figures to seal a win and lift Malky Mackay's men off the bottom of the table. It left United propping up the rest with only 3 games left, and it's brought real fears around Tannadice. They will go down just as Dundee come back up. That open on 37 seconds, a deep corner beyond the far post, headed back into the danger zone by Jack Baldwin, and there was White to nod home from just a yard or so out. United responded really well. Loic Aina fired over the top. Stephen Fletcher had a double chance, one blocked by Conor Randall, one saved by Ross Laidlaw, and they did get level in 24 minutes with this VAR awarded penalty kick. The ball would get out for a corner. John Beaton signalled for the corner. United went to take the corner, but VAR Stephen Kirkland urged Beaton to go to the pitch side monitor. He saw the ball strike the hand of Josh Sims, gave the penalty kick, and McGrath rolled home his 4th goal in 5 games. At that stage he expected United to go on and win the game. Aina broke clear again. He set up Rory McLeod for a shot that was held by Laidlaw. Then Craig Sibbald was denied by the Ross County keeper before the break. Into the second half though, and County really stepped up a gear. Mark Berighetti in the United goal got away with a reel when he sliced a pass back and then had to get down in the loose ball before Victor Laturi could profit. Berighetti then saved from Sims, but in 57 minutes the turning point in the game as County went back ahead. A cute finish by White, lifting the ball over the Aussie goalkeeper from close range for 2-1. They lost save from Fletcher at the other end, with McLeod putting the rebound wide, but County moved further ahead in 72 minutes. A sweeping passing move. Harman, Danda and substitute Simon Murray all involved. Murray cutting the ball back for White to roll it home from close range for 3-1. United tried their hardest to make a whole raft of substitutions in the last quarter of an hour. Fletcher heading wide in 5 added minutes, but they now only have 3 games to save their skins, starting at Livy next Saturday. There's anxiety all round Tannadice. Dundee United 1, Ross County 3.
Big day in Paisley. High drama for Gabriel.
Yes, Gordon, unbelievable. Lawrence Shankland's last second penalty has stunned the Saints and rescued a point for the Jambos. They look like they were completely out of the game. Their hold on 4th is safe for the moment, and it is a huge blow for the Saints' European hopes. What a game it was here in a sunny, packed out Smythe Stadium. Feisty tackles from the off. Few chances early on, but St Mirren started to turn the screw. It had been coming when Shaughnessy fired the hosts in front. An in-swinging Tanza corner headed back across by Alex Gogic and hammered in by the skipper. Curtis Main thought he'd doubled the advantage just before the half, but Xander Clark pulled off an impressive stop. However, they did make it 2 just before the whistle. A beautiful Ryan Strain free kick just on the left edge of the box, clipped over the wall into the bottom corner. Nothing Clark could do there, and it was a fully deserved 2-goal advantage at the break. Saints were in total control of the game in that second 45. A Strain had another lovely curling effort, tipped over. Then Shaughnessy should have had his second with a header. Another great save from Xander Clark, who had another impressive afternoon in that Hearts goal. Hearts had offered next to nothing all game. Stephen Naismith on the touchline going berserk at his players, to say the least, for some of it, but then out of nowhere with 20 minutes to go, substitute Nathaniel Atkinson beats his man on the right hand side with a double step over. Great ball across the face into that corridor of uncertainty, and at the back post the pacey Josh Ginnelly was there to fire in. It looked like we were set for a grandstand finish, but just a few minutes after, Peter Harron, the Hearts midfielder, shown a straight red for a high tackle on Mark O'Hara that stopped a counter-attack on the halfway line. Perhaps look a little harsh on first viewing, but VAR had a quick look. It didn't send the referee David Dickinson over to the monitor, so there was no error there. It looked like that was the end of Hearts' push for an equaliser. Saints, as you can imagine, had plenty of chances on the break to make it 3 or even 4, but they just didn't capitalise. Then suddenly In the 95th minute, Hearts knock the ball forward. Ginnelly takes it down in the box. Substitute Ryan Flynn is on, and he's taking the ball away from goal, Ginnelly, and he puts his arm into the back of him, pushes him over. The referee points straight to the spot. VAR sees nothing wrong with it, and Shankland is standing over the ball, and cool as you like, converts, sending the keeper the wrong way. The Hearts fans behind the goal trying to jump onto the pitch. It was feral scenes here, to be honest, and it is a massive, massive blow for St Mirren's bid for European football. They could still mathematically get it, but Stephen Robinson dejected at full time, as were his players. After 90 minutes at the Smizer Stadium, catch your breath. St Mirren 2, Hearts 2.
What about Pittodrie, Dave Galloway?
Full time, Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0. Hibs made a very bright start and took a grip of play. Aberdeen were posing little threat as the visitors had a right go, with the hosts having to defend very well. Nisbet fed Ewan on the left, and his drive from a tight angle was beaten away by Roos, and Ewan's header was deflected over after Cadden's ball in. The inrushing Nisbet couldn't get Ewan's cut back on target, and as the interval drew close, Nisbet curled one just past the far post with the outside of his foot, but almost on the half-time whistle, Aberdeen nearly snatched the lead very much against the run of play. Coulson volleying narrowly over following a set piece. The home side looked a little bit better after the interval without exactly setting the heather on fire. Duncan's drive deflected over, and Pollock headed Clarkson's free kick over the crossbar, but the visitors continued to be very much on top. Cadden poked wide when he a goal looked likely, kind of slipped when he went for the ball. Ewan's powerful low drive was well parried by Roos. Ewan's header then hit the bar, with McCurdy on the follow-up shooting against the post. However, Hibs were given a penalty following a VAR review after the ball struck his arm. Up stepped Nisbet to take it, but Roos made a fine save with his legs. Coulson was booked for the apparent handball, looking rather bemused there. Aberdeen threatened in the closing stages though, and it would have been robbery. Ramadani let fly. It took a deflection but into the arms of Marshall, who had a pretty quiet afternoon, if truth be told. Barry Robson's side looking off colour as the visitors created enough chances to win a couple of games, but Aberdeen remained 5 points clear in third place with 3 matches remaining of the campaign. It finished Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0.
What a day of Scottish football. And now it's over to you to have your say. It's 01419511025. So why not pick up that phone and let us know what is on your mind. Of course, starting at Ibrox today, I'm not sure anyone saw that one coming. A 3-0 win for Rangers. Yes, the title was already in the bag, but what did you take away from it, Rangers fans? Did it feel like you needed it? You needed to get one of those wins against Celtic this season for Michael Beale? Does it give you extra hope going forward? Celtic fans, does it bother you at all? How much does it bother you? We'll hear from Ange Postecoglou, and you can give us all your post-match thoughts. And that's before we even get to the 3 o'clock games. Let's start hearing from you, who went through the ringer this afternoon as well. The open line is next.
After the action,